those 8 guys are good enough to make it to the Final Four?
Welcome to Fort Worth, Texas. Xfinity Series racing is on. Welcome to Countdown to Green, the Mobil 1 Peacock Pit Box, all the way down in pit stall number 43, ready for some racing under the lights with Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett. And if it feels like it's been a while since we've had Xfinity Series racing, it feels like it has been. It's only been 1 week off, but since then we've had, well, a fight, and the march to the title now continues. Kyle, doesn't it seem like it's been a while?
It was warm the last place we were at, and it's chilly now. So yes, it does seem like. And honestly, I know they took a week off, but at the same time, it feels like it's been a month since we've seen the Xfinity cars on track.
Yeah, certainly was a lot of excitement the last time that they ran on a 1.5 mile racetrack. A lot of things happened on the track that carried over to some hard feelings after things were over with. And so be interesting to see how that plays out tonight, because the big three are still up there together and they're going to be racing hard, but there's others that are needing a spot there too. And all the spots are still open because of Brandon Jones winning that race.
Yeah, let's go ahead and show you the playoff standings. Again, the playoffs started with 12 drivers down to 8, and the Xfinity Series now lines up with the Monster Energy Cup Series racing Texas, Phoenix, and then that Championship 4 in Homestead. And you see the Championship 4 wide open right now. Yes, the big three, Kyle, kind of have that lead in the standings, but who will be the 4th?
Yeah, who's going to be the 4th? And look, as Dale said, 2 are assured to get in on points.
Yep.
And that's something.
Because Brandon
Jones, who was outside that group, ended up winning. And that's not something we often see here. When we talk big 3, when we talk big 4, whatever it may be, those are the guys that take up the spots with wins, but not in this case.
Yeah, and I think for the big 3, that probably by somebody else outside winning, that probably secures their spots a little bit more.
True.
Because they have so many points that they've racked up in the regular season and getting those stage wins and things. I mean, Christopher Bell has more than twice as many stage wins as anyone else in the series. So just incredible. I think they will keep on. Who is that 4th? Who's going to step up there? We keep seeing Justin Allgaier's been really consistent, and we have a number of others that are looking to make their way in there. Chase Briscoe had a great run going at Kansas till he ran up on a lap car, or a lap car ran in front of him, however you want to put it, and had some problems there. So who of this group is going to be that 4th?
Yeah, and you look at this group, and no one really jumps out, because at different times in the season, every one of them has jumped out. Every one of these guys has had bright spots. Will they peak in these next couple of races and put their hand up and say, I'm the 4th guy, I'm ready to go to Miami?
Well, we know they race into here with opportunity. Now, last week, the scuffle was the headline. We're not just talking about Joey and Denny. It may have started with Tyler and Cole.
Contact! They both hit!
Bell and Briscoe collide, and there's damage for Briscoe.
Is that dumb with a 20? We will take care of him.
It all comes unglued for the lead pair.
Well, to be honest with you, we haven't really been good friends for about 2 years, and I think that just goes from racing.
Cole Custer has the lead. Reddick slides up. They maybe make a little contact. Custer was all the way up against the wall. Now he's dropping back.
You can be a dumb.
Cole Custer and Tyler Reddick going at it here on pit road.
Man, the tempers were flying.
Little name calling, a lot of shoving.
If he wants to wreck cars and put them in the wall from time to time, that's fine, but when it affects me, I'm not going to be very happy with it.
Big frustrations.
See, he put a hand on me, I put a hand on him back. That's just how it's going to be.
Emotions running very high.
Emotions have been running high indeed in these playoffs, and we've seen some tempers flared. So, Tyler, the last time we saw you at the conclusion of Kansas, you and Cole in a little bit of a skirmish then. Where do things stand now, and how do you guys race each other going forward?
Oh, we're fine. We both have we're both in really good spots for this playoff picture. I think if we both just have good weekends here at Texas and Phoenix, we'll both be battling for a championship at Homestead. I feel like we both think that we deserve to be there battling it for it there. So I don't think what happens at Kansas even left the racetrack. As you can kind of see, we were kind of like, he was smiling and laughing as all things going on. Just one of those deals. Emotions get high and you do things you normally wouldn't.
All right, so you've been runner-up here at Texas a couple of times. Put your car on the pole just a couple of hours ago. What is going to be the biggest key to getting to victory lane tonight?
Just figuring out this traction compound in a much cooler temperature than what we've experienced here in the past. some of the guys in qualifying in the Cup cars with a lot more downforce, so we're able to make it work. But is it going to come in for us, and how treacherous is it going to be on sticker tires with how cool it is out? So it's just something we'll be keeping our eye on as this race goes on. Hopefully we can stay out in front and control it, and just let other people get it worked in for us this time.
All right, so Tyler Reddick says what happens in Kansas stays in Kansas. Dave, what about the other side?
Well, that would be Cole Custer, and of course the skirmish on pit road afterwards left us wondering how it was going to be between you guys racing here tonight. How will that change things for you guys going forward?
I think we're all good. We talked in the garage area right after, and I think me and Tyler understand what happened, and I think we're kind of going to leave it in the past because we have enough to worry about with the championship going on. So we're just focused on tonight, and I think our Thompson Pipe Group Mustang was pretty good. We just got to find some track position.
What about being fast here and winning again? How are the prospects tonight?
Oh, well, it's tough. I mean, they have the VHT on the track now, so it's kind of hard to say, if it's going to get worked in or not. It hasn't really worked yet this weekend. But I'm sure by the end of the race it might. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to get your car to handle good in traffic and also be fast out front.
All right, Krista, I think I hear a couple of young guys saying, hey, let's just save it for Miami.
I like that. Of course, until the next altercation happens, tough racing on the track, Dale.
Yes, that's exactly right. And they're going to be racing around each other this week, next week at Phoenix, and then they'll be around each other at Homestead too, trying to win a championship. So I like their attitude about it, though. Hey, that happened. We talked about it. Put it behind us, and let's go racing some more and see what we can do on the track.
Yeah, both these guys are focused on winning a championship, not on beating each other on pit road and going through that again. And listen, you say they're going to race this year, these guys are going to race the rest of their career together. Yeah. That's the kind of guys and the talent these two have.
Yeah, future of the sport. Tyler Reddick, by the way, on the pole. Cole Custer starting fourth, and the other of the big three, Christopher Bell, right there too. He starts third. And then there were 8, a handful of 21-year-olds, a couple in their mid-30s, a few in between. 7 states represented among these 8 playoff drivers. California, Nevada, Oklahoma, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and North Carolina. They race tonight. Speaking of a great show, using last year as an example, we could be in for quite a show tonight with some familiar names.
Into the wall goes Christopher Bell.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
That might put a nail in the coffin of Christopher Bell's title chances.
The 3 of Shane Lee goes around, catches Daniel Hemrick, one of the championship contenders. Here comes Cole Custer. They hit. Contact made. Cole Custer trying to pull away. Cole Custer just punched his ticket to Miami.
So that's what Cole Custer did last year in this race. We told you he starts 4th. Let's talk about Christopher Bell, that other of the big 3 we haven't really mentioned. I mean, his numbers are just outstanding. Christopher Bell comes in with a 49-point advantage in the standings. Yeah, a little bit rough lately. I'm still looking to kind of get some of that magic back. And as we continue to get you ready for this Xfinity Series race, let's bring in someone who's very familiar with this racetrack, Dale Earnhardt Jr. So we've talked Big 3. Obviously, that's one of your headlines for this race, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to talk about those guys with the success that they've had this year. I think Cole Custer's the one that's been doing the most work or the best work at the mile and a half. With that said, there have been races, where those other guys have ran well, and Reddick's on the pole. So it's hard. I think it's who has the track position of those 3. They run so equal. Whoever has that track position late in the race, it may come down to a pit stop or something like that it gives one of those guys that advantage. That's the guy that's going to have the chance to win this race. And they are the 3 that you have to beat. That's why we talk about them so much, because for the rest of these guys that are trying to get themselves into that last round or that final round of Homestead to race for the championship, you're going to have to beat them guys to win the championship.
Well, and the fact that they have 19 wins between the 3 of them, I mean, it's hard not to talk about Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick. I mean, all 3 so young, but Dale, all 3 doing everything right.
Yeah, they have done everything right. They performed at a high level on every different type of racetrack. I guess my question, I don't see any holdback. These guys, you see the amount of points that they're ahead of the cut line, but I don't see any holdback in these guys. They go after the win no matter what.
Yeah, that's why I love the Xfinity Series. It kind of reminds me of the difference between the NFL and college football. These guys are hungry. They don't know the definition of holding back or taking it easy or points racing. And they do tend to make a lot of mistakes because of that. And so we tend to see a lot of drama throughout the playoffs for a lot of guys like Cole Custer and so forth. Even though they have those great points cushions, they go out there and put it on the line. And It's just a different sort of mentality and a different atmosphere in the Xfinity garage and among these drivers, and that's why they're fun to watch. Those guys are developing right before our eyes. Even though they're racing for the title, for the championship, they're still drivers in development, and it's fun to watch them learn.
Yeah, what do you think? This racetrack, we've heard every one of them that we've talked to and heard from this weekend talking about the traction compound that's down. How is that going to factor in, especially with the cool temperatures here tonight?
I imagine that it's going to be hard to get it to activate at night, much less in the race tomorrow in the Cup Series. But if you have to get up into that traction compound and run on it for it to get better and better and provide more and more grip. But it needs heat, and I don't know if we'll have enough tonight. Hey, look at it. It's shiny.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on a racetrack where it's shiny.
I don't like shiny racetracks.
Heck no. I don't want to be on that. If I'm a driver, I'm thinking I'm going to watch somebody else go up there first, see if they hit it, spin out and hit the wall. If they don't, they create speed. I want my spotter to tell me, hey, somebody's found something up there. Maybe go up there and see what you think about it. But I'm not going to be the first guy up there.
So, again, a little bit like glue on a cold day. It's just not, that's what you're worried about, maybe just not sticking.
I don't know. I've never used glue on a cold day. I guess kind of like glue on a cold day. Kind of like glue on a cold day, Dale. It's kind of like glue on a cold day. Thank you, Krista, for that analogy.
Otherwise, you weren't part of the conversation.
That's okay. I don't mind not being. I'm just listening, man. I'm learning.
All right. Well, hey, one guy in the playoffs going to have to do things the hard way, and he's with Dave Burns.
That's right. Starting from the rear tonight is Justin Allgaier, and it's been about stacking up points so far in the playoffs for you, Justin. So how do you get it done tonight starting from the back?
Well, that's going to be the difficult part. Obviously, stage points have been so important into our run to kind of keep going in these playoffs. This is a racetrack that could be difficult. Getting in that PJ1 is going to be slick at the beginning, we think. So managing the traffic is going to be a big deal. But we had a big group of people here this weekend from Swabman and Fisher House. If you've seen my Twitter, you've seen what they're doing for Fisher House. What Swabman's doing for Fisher House is pretty awesome. So to have all those guests here, nothing would be sweeter or more warm because they do lots of fireworks here in Victory Lane. So I'm looking for a cowboy hat and some flames, and I think that would be a good ending to an already okay weekend.
All right, good luck tonight. And speaking of cowboy hats and flames and odd things that you might find around Texas Motor Speedway, let's go to Rut. Hey, buddy.
Oh, Dave, he is so right because everything is bigger in Texas, including Victory Lane here. How about your very own Justin hat that you'd get? And wouldn't Justin look great in this Made in Texas Justin hat? But that's not all. We know this Victory Lane is synonymous with huge celebrations. Look at some of the greatest ones over the years. We know that drivers get so excited about all the things they win here, including those beautiful six-shooters. Now, also we saw for the first time today, Kevin Harvick was lucky enough to win that beautiful Henry repeating arms rifle, the Texas edition. But one thing I can tell you, tomorrow night, someone's going to win these bad boys too. We got lots more from Texas coming up. Yeehaw!
Woo, Yosemite Sam. He looks good in a hat with guns.
Here at Texas, the Xfinity Series drivers getting ready to race. A great night for racing. A little bit cool, a little bit chilly. And the last driver in the playoff mix, well, he landed there after Kansas.
Into the wall again.
That was a 22 car getting in the fence.
Austin Cindric hit the right side of the car.
Just a little right rear quarter. Nothing major. No one knows how to drive. There's no way I don't have a loose wheel.
Definitely an unscheduled stop for Austin Cindric.
Certainly big playoff implications here.
Mistakes happen, but that's just an unforced error.
Up into the wall he goes. Pretty aggressive move there out of Austin Cindric.
Trying to block my lane even though he never could every single time he did it.
Yeah, Austin Cindric's trouble is getting from bad to worse here.
And he will pay the price. Second unscheduled pit stop of the afternoon for Austin Cindric.
Austin Cindric, 30 points out, is going to need a clutch play. We've seen it in other sports, Dale, like Bobby Orr in 1970.
Yeah, arguably one of the greatest hockey players ever to play the game, getting that game-winning goal.
Yeah, look, I look at Austin Cindric as Doug Flutie.
Kind of a Hail Mary.
Yeah, he's going to have to drop back, throw it as far and as long as he can, and hope somebody runs under it and catches this thing as far back as he is in the points. And we look at all these finals and we look at all these Hail Marys, but this is comparable to that. When you're this far down, as where he's at right now, against this group that we just talked about, it's tough.
Yeah, he needs a Joe Carter walk-off homer, a Michael Jordan game-winning shot. Kelly is with Austin Cindric.
I'd like to refer to the John Elway The Drive All right, if we're going to make these great comeback analogies, and for Austin Cindric, yes, it is going to take quite a performance clutch either tonight or a week from now when we get to Phoenix. How do you do it tonight, considering you'll be starting 14th?
Yeah, obviously the starting spot's definitely not ideal. I think we have a discount tire Ford Mustang that's capable of winning tonight, and that's what we need. But it's definitely going to be an uphill climb any way you look at it. I think the 2 car has been insanely quick all weekend, but I think the track's going to bite a lot of people tonight, as it usually does here in Texas. So gotta be smart, got to be clean, everything that we weren't in Kansas, and really put our best foot forward. Really proud of this team. Proud of how far I've come since this time last year, and looking forward to putting my best foot forward for sure.
All right. Well, Krista, he told me he just thinks he has a car that is capable of winning this race, so we'll see how it plays out 300 miles from now.
Kelly and Austin sitting down on the job.
Yes.
Well, Austin's going to sit all night.
That's true.
Yeah,
Good
that's
point.
Just kidding.
That's true. But you know what? He had an interesting point. We got to be everything that we weren't at Kansas.
Yeah.
And he's exactly right. For the next 2 weeks, they've got to be everything they weren't at Kansas, which means they've got to be perfect.
But here's the thing, is being able to make up that many points when you have guys ahead of you who
That's
aren't
tough.
probably going to make mistakes, at least not all 7 of them.
Yeah, no, they're going to run in the top 10, so pointing your way there is going to be almost impossible. He has to do what champions do, and that's go out and win a race, figure out how to win this race. He made a point. He's come a long way since the driver that we saw last year. He won a couple of road course races. He's been a lot better on the ovals. He has had one bad race. Unfortunately, it came at the wrong time at the start of this round.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time. The first race in a round is hard to recover from. And he has matured as a driver. They have matured as a team. They have surrounded him with good people, and he's getting the job done. But when he needed to get the job done last week at Kansas, they were that much off. They kept getting into people. Things kept happening. And they put themselves in this position where it is going to have to be the Doug Flutie type. It's going to have to be the Hail Mary. You've just got to throw it up and hope that somebody runs under it.
Yeah, running out of opportunities, running out of time. Just 2 more races to make the championship 4. Again, no driver of these 8 playoff drivers have locked themselves in. That could happen tonight. We'll get you ready to race when we come back to Texas. Here at Texas Motor Speedway, we've given you the storylines. How about picks to win? Kyle, who do you like?
Picks to win. Well, I'm not good in geometry, but I think that Oklahoma is close by here. Maybe that's geography. I think Oklahoma, I'm going with Christopher Bell because I believe this is like his hometown track, or his home track. This is as close as we get to Oklahoma. He's 49 points to the good. He's in control. He controls his destiny. He's in the best place to go out and raise his hand and say, go through me to win this championship.
That's fantastic geology, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And the man that everybody, this isn't going to make any sense either. The man that everybody's been talking about all weekend with the fastest car, he put it on the pole, is Tyler Reddick. But that's not who I'm picking. I'm going with Cole Custer because he has been the man since he came into this series on mile-and-a-half racetrack. He has 4 wins on the mile-and-a-half tracks. He's amassed more points in these last 2 years on these mile-and-a-halves than anyone else. And he's got 7 wins this year. I think he gets it done tonight.
All right, so both going with 2 of the big 3. One of them is going to make it stick like glue on a cold night. 8 drivers fighting for 4 tickets. The last time they raced, they fought. If a playoff driver wins tonight in Texas, he is into the title race. No playoff driver has locked himself in yet. Is tonight the night? The race team takes over when we return.
NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing on NBCSN. It's the O'Reilly Auto Parts 300 Texas Motor Speedway. Alongside our crew chief, Steve Letarte, Jeff Burton, our famous driver, Rick Allen with you as we get ready for this, the second race of the round of 8. Now, there are still opportunities out there to lock into the championship 4. This round of 8 could be very interesting, Steve.
Well, it's been interesting so far. We had a surprise winner with Brandon Jones winning 2 weeks ago, the last race that the Xfinity Series run. But my concern for the rest of the field is the big 3. They've won 19 races this year, and someone has stoked the fire because they showed up in practice and they have dominated. Those 3 cars, in my mind, are head and shoulders above the field, but can they deliver?
Well, you mentioned stoke the fire. What about the last race we had? They were stoked the fire. They're all mad at each other. You know, at some point, everybody in those top 3 you've been talking about had somebody mad or they were mad at them. So will that carry over? A week off sometimes that lets you calm down, and sometimes it just makes you madder.
So apparently you don't touch another driver afterwards on pit road. We found out that's not the way to go. As we look at the playoff leaderboard, 8 drivers still with an opportunity to lock up a spot in the championship 4. Still no guaranteed position because of what you had mentioned, Brandon Jones winning the race at Kansas, so he was not a part of the playoffs. If you win, you automatically have a shot to go on to the championship 4. So who are you looking at here tonight, not in the championship 3, or the big 3 we call it?
Yeah, not the big 3. I go with the next driver there, Justin Allgaier, currently 4th, 2 points above, had an engine issue in practice, is going to have to start from the rear of the field. Jeff, stage 1, 45 laps. If that runs green, you're talking 20, 21 minutes, and this first stage will be over. He's going to have to find a way to safely, if possible, work through traffic to get some of those points.
The guy that's brought the heat to the playoffs, Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe has done a really nice job. He has been in contention to win many races. I see that continuing tonight.
And so the 7 of Justin Allgaier is going to have to come from the back after an engine change. We'll see how exciting that is to see him work his way through traffic as well. Again, points very important, paid at the end of stage 1. Let's get things underway. We go trackside for pre-race ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Grapevine Police Department Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Brett Schisler with Texas Alliance Raceway Ministries offers tonight's invocation.
Would you please pray with me? Most loving and gracious God, as we come here tonight, Lord, we thank you. We thank you for this beautiful evening and this chance to come together and to pray as free people. Lord, we think about the men and women all over the world that help to keep us free and keep us safe. And we thank you for each and every one of them and ask for safety for them all. Lord, as we come to you tonight, we also ask for safety for the drivers. We ask that you be with each and every one of the drivers, with all of the crew, all of the fire workers, and finally, Lord, be with our world. As we come to you tonight, Lord, we simply humble ourselves before you and ask all of this in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem from White's Chapel in Southlake, Texas, Cantari Performance Choir.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Time for the drivers to go to work. They'll climb in and fire the engines next. When we return, things happen fast here in Texas.
The 3-race stretch in the round of 8 is definitely the most challenging.
Round 2, here we go.
If we maintain, we'll be racing at Homestead.
If one of the guys behind us in the round of 8 win a race, it totally shakes up everything.
It's going to be Brandon Jones winning in Kansas.
Boys, I love you guys.
When put in the highest intensity moment of your life, will you be able to execute?
There's a really strong group of contenders. 7 out of those 8 guys are good enough to make it to the Final Four.
I definitely can be one of the Final Four at Miami. The biggest thing is just having the belief and confidence in yourself to know you can.
His 7th win of the season.
We got that gold monster.
That's what we strive to do. Every single person on our team wants to win.
I want to win at Homestead, so I would consider not winning the championship a playoff failure.
8 drivers, but only 4 spots available in that championship 4, and 1 can be solidified today, maybe coming from all the way in the back. Right, Dave?
That's right, Rick. In the playoffs so far, Justin Allgaier's strategy has been get all the playoff points he can, and it's been done from an average starting position of 6th. Today, he qualified 6th, but he has to go all the way to the rear of this 38-car field because they changed an engine because they thought they might have an issue. We'll see how Justin does, Marty.
Well, Dave, you heard Dale Jr. say it a moment ago. For much of the year here in the Xfinity Series, Cole Custer has been the best at the mile-and-a-half program. But as crew chief Mike Shiplett told me a moment ago, we've lost that edge a little bit here in the playoffs, and Christopher Bell has caught us. They're going to try some things tonight to gain a little bit of speed. We'll see if Cole Custer can get the win for the 2nd straight year here at Texas, Kelly.
Well, Marty, just how fast is the number 2 car of Tyler Reddick? Well, Tyler told me he made a mistake on his qualifying lap, and yet he still put his Chevy on pole. So he told me the key now for tonight is to have a smart race. That means staying out of trouble and not taking any unnecessary risks. Tyler's got a pretty comfortable points lead over the playoff cut line, but he's a 2-time runner-up here. Would love nothing more than to get his first win at Texas tonight. Time to get the engines fired.
Here to give the command to start engines for tonight's race, District Manager for Quick Car Law Group, Brian Wallace.
Drivers, start your engines.
Fired up. That one ready. 3,800 seconds here. Same as Kansas.
The engines come to life, and I mentioned things happen fast here. Only 45 laps for the first 2 stages. Points paid at the end of stage 1 and stage 2.
It is a speedway with swagger.
A guaranteed spot in the championship 4 is there if they can win this race.
These drivers know what's at stake, the most pressure they've faced in their career.
You never know what's going to happen in this playoff format.
Cole Custer and Tyler Reddick going at it on pit road.
There's a really strong group of contenders. 7 out of those 8 guys are good enough to make it to the Final 4.
And anything can happen as we see the cars starting to roll off of pit road. So much can happen at the high speeds here at Texas Motor Speedway as we look at the starting grid. Tyler Reddick, Harrison Burton will start up front. Now, Tyler Reddick, he lost this race on the last lap last year. Does not want to repeat what happened a year ago here.
Well, he lost that race to the 0-0 of Cole Custer. 2 heavy hitters make up row 2. Christopher Bell, Cole Custer. Row 3, Chase Briscoe, Allgaier, but Allgaier, unfortunately, back there in the 3rd row will have to go to the back, give up that great starting position.
And one of the great things about NASCAR is we can talk to the competitors right while they're on the racetrack. Let's dial up Christopher Bell and see how he's feeling right before this race, Jeff.
Hey, Christopher, Booth Boys, you got us?
Yes, sir.
Man, I hate to ask you this, but last year, first lap, driving in turn 1, got spun around. Really cold tonight. Are you nervous about that?
I promise you I'm going to lift here in turn 1 this time.
That's advised. So how about your car? It looked really good yesterday. How you feel about it?
Yeah, I like what we got. It seems like the 2 car's pretty quick, but I think we've got as good a shot as anybody.
What's the biggest challenge tonight, man? You think that upper groove will work in, or you're going to be right on the bottom all night?
I think the dominant groove is going to be on the bottom, but I expect the middle to come in, and I don't know. We can race pretty good in the spring. Hopefully the cold weather doesn't stop the PJ1 from working, and we can get a couple grooves where we can race.
All right, Christopher, thank you for letting us join you. We'll be watching you all night. Good luck, bud.
We get to ride along with a few of the drivers, one of those being the 20 of Christopher Bell. He's got the Toyota onboard camera, so we'll be able to look back at him, see how hard he's working on the wheel.
11 of Justin Haley just now leaving the garage with that leaf filter on board. Can't thank this team enough. Everybody doing the hard work. They got the helmet cam. This is a backup car after a big accident in qualifying. A lot of extra work in a short period of time. We want to say thank you to this team. Oh, Jeb Burton here with the state water heaters on board. I love in the nighttime looking back at the drivers with the clear visor. You can see their eyes working the mirrors.
And maybe the spoiler for tonight will be Ross Chastain. He's got the Nutrient Ag Solutions onboard camera with him. We get a look back at him. And down on the Mobile One Peacock pit box, braving the temperatures, is Dale Earnhardt Jr. What are you looking for tonight, Junior?
Yeah, it feels great down here, Rick, on the pit box. Not as cold as I thought it was going to be. But you heard Christopher Bell talking about that PJ1. He's concerned about how it's going to work tonight in these cold temperatures. You also saw the other drivers under these pace laps working in that PJ1, seeing what the grip is for that right now. Because on this restart, some of them guys are going to have to be in it. So on this first restart, if you're one of the drivers in the outside line, you're forced to run in that PJ1. How much do you trust it? You know you're going to have to learn where the grip is in that and being able to use that to your advantage if you're in that outside line again later in the race, because it can be an advantage to take that grip, that extra grip on the restarts, and use it to take some positions from those guys on the bottom fighting for that grip. Dave, what you got?
So, Junior, the 98 of Chase Briscoe, well documented during qualifying today, failed 3 times in pre-qualifying inspection, and so the car chief was ejected, and next weekend at ISM Raceway they get docked 30 minutes of practice. Chase said, I really needed that because Phoenix is not one of my better racetracks. So how do they solve it? Well, he qualified 5th here with a chance to win in advance and make it irrelevant. We'll see how it goes, Kelly.
17 points below the playoff cut line. Noah Gragson can certainly point his way into the championship for at Miami, but he feels like he's got to win one of the next 2 races here in Texas or next week in Phoenix, and he feels like this is his better opportunity. He's got a lot of confidence both from how they ran here in the spring and how they won on another 1.5 mile of track just 2 weeks ago at Kansas. So Noah Gragson looking to get his first Xfinity Series win and move on to the championship for Marty.
Boy, Kelly, Austin Cindric and his team coming to Texas in a tough position. -30, the very bottom of the playoff standings. Maybe a must-win scenario for that team. But when I chatted with Austin before the race tonight, he said that was one of our best practices of the year yesterday. But for some reason, we cannot get our car to take off on sticker tires. But on the long run, we have a terrific car. We'll see if that pays off for the 22 tonight. Coming in again, Rick, -30 below that cut line.
Yeah, Marty, fighting for every point, every position that they can get. You know, it was interesting, Jeff, when you were talking with Christopher Bell, he right away referenced, I'll lift if I need to. Well, he was talking about last year's start of the race, and this is how lap 1 went. He goes around, slams into the wall, and Christopher Bell, excuse me, the 42 spins around, but he said he would lift because of that right there at the beginning of that race. Christopher Bell spins the first lap, first time through 1 and 2.
Listen, if I'm Christopher Bell, I'm more nervous about it tonight than I was then. The sun was out then. The track had heat in it. The tires are going to fire off much quicker. Tonight, it's cold. These are very hard tires. That PJ1, that sticky stuff that put down on the racetrack on the outer groove, there's no grip right there. So if I'm driving one of these race cars, I am nervous at the start of this race.
Experience. We throw that word around all the time. What does it mean? That's exactly what it means. These drivers, Christopher Bell specifically, has been in this position before. Use that misstep to get smarter, be wiser. He knows he's in a good position points-wise, so you don't have to make it all up. The first corners, you see the 7 pull into the side. He'll fall to the back.
Yeah, next time around, we're going to see the green flag. Steve, give us a race breakdown. Now, a very short race. It seems like only 300 miles.
Yeah, it's going to go by in a hurry at this very fast 1.5 mile oval, 200 laps, 300 miles. Remember the 2 different ends of the racetrack. One flat, one has a lot of banking. Stage 1 and Stage 2, both 45 laps. That leaves a 110-lap final stage. Fuel window, somewhere between 56 and 60 laps. The second race, the round of 8. It was Kansas 2 weeks ago, Texas tonight. And a week from tonight, we'll be out in Phoenix at ISM Raceway.
Tyler Reddick on 1.5 mile racetracks has been magnificent. And now he starts up front with Harrison Burton. By the way, Jeff, your son, you got to be proud about that qualifying effort that he put up.
And nervous about this start.
Nervous?
Think about this. How many mile and a halves would we see Tyler Reddick picking the bottom?
Yeah.
Right? Normally you pick the top. You had a shot, you would pick the top. But here, because of the lack of grip in that upper groove, he goes to the bottom of the racetrack.
All right, let's listen into the radio of Chase Briscoe and a little pep talk here.
You just keep doing what you've been doing. It's going to fall our way one of these times, so we're going to give you everything we got down here. Just keep us posted on what you need. We'll do our best on top of the box to give you what you need at the end to go win this thing.
I agree with that pep talk. I believe he's right. You have to keep doing what you're doing. This 98 has been close. At some point, the brakes have to go your way.
Pit road is closed, but that's okay. Pace car is going to make its way onto pit road. Now the field in the hands of Tyler Reddick. The second race of the round of 8 begins from Texas Motor Speedway. And surging ahead, Tyler Reddick. Here comes Christopher Bell in the 20, challenging for that second spot.
Cole Custer in that 00 didn't want anything to do with the upper lane. He forced his way into the bottom to make sure he was down on that cleaner track as he has Harrison Burton in the 18 stuck up a groove, but it seems to be working pretty good here in 3 and 4.
More banking in 3 and 4, able to lean on that a little bit more.
Definitely more banking, but you see you want to be on the bottom of the racetrack. Right here, I'd love to see the spotter saying, hey, clear hole behind, get behind that 98.
Quick hole, inside.
Information was too late, though. You see that outside line falling back. See the 8 car also falling back, trying to get to the bottom.
Now Harrison Burton falls in behind the 10 of Ross Chastain as we see the 19 of Brandon Jones freight training Jeb Burton right now.
And I really believe the outer lane will get better as the race progresses, but here at the start, it is definitely treacherous.
And it's a tough time for Jeb, right? Jeb's got to remember what situation he's in. It might get better, but even if he loses all these spots, you can't get frustrated. This is going to happen on these restarts. I agree with you, Steve. I think it will get better. Here's a shot. Get down. Get behind him. There you go.
Jeb Burton, just a 6th start in the Xfinity Series this year. He was 5th at this race earlier in March in the Xfinity Series race.
Great shot. Check out this racetrack. Very unique. In the middle of 1 and 2 right now. Hear how much he was out of the gas, going down the back straightaway. Now, listen to the throttle. Stays in it, never gets all the way out of the gas. Got a good run here, trying to get underneath his teammate Noah. Now down the front straightaway, listen to the difference. Listen to how much he's out of the gas in this end of the racetrack. Look at that. Never got back to the gas like he did in 3 and 4. You got to drive this corner like a short track. This has Phoenix. This has those kind of racetracks mentality to it. This end down here, you got to go get you some. 2 different ends.
And Jeff, his crew chief is a very upbeat guy named Taylor Moyer, trying to give Jeff just a little more incentive and relax him before the race got going. He said, hey, if you win, I get a cowboy hat. Now go for it.
Cowboy hat in victory lane. Flames, definitely a place that everyone wants to be at the end of this race.
They get to shoot pistols, too.
You get a 6-shooter.
Guns, get a cowboy hat.
That's Texas. Tyler Reddick now being challenged by the 20 of Christopher Bell. Here comes Bell to the outside. He'll take the lead away.
Yeah, the 2 came off turn 4 and looked like he just pulled down. I don't know if he thought the 20 was better, if he has an issue. Kelly?
Yeah, the 2 car Tyler Reddick has some debris on the grill. You can catch it there in dead center of his grill. And it was just way too long till they hit any lap traffic to help with that. So the team actually told them, let the 20 go if you need to, so they can try to sneak up behind him and manipulate the air to remove that debris from that grill.
Yeah, I was wondering what the situation was because he came off turn 4 way off the pace. Now he has to be fast enough to catch the 20 to get right up underneath the rear bumper.
And if I'm Christopher Bell, I'm working hard right here. If I know that he's got that debris on his nose, I don't want him getting near me. I want that debris on his nose. I want him to have to pit under green.
And Christopher Bell taking that lead and advantage of Tyler Reddick. He thought he might have some debris on his grill as well, but Bell saying the car took off a little bit free and said it was coming to him very quickly. And he told me before the race, I feel like we've had the best car here for about 3 years and have 0 wins to show for it. Christopher Bell with a little bit to prove tonight. And both of these guys trying to get that debris off the grill. And there it goes for Tyler Reddick right off the grill.
And, of course, they're watching the television broadcast, so he saw that debris left the grill, and so now Tyler Reddick will be on point once again to get after Christopher Bell to try to take away that top spot. But I'm guessing Bell is not going to want to relinquish this position.
You see right here, as he pulls up behind the 20, the pressure on the nose drops dramatically, and because of that air pressure change, debris blows right off.
Bell up front, Reddick running second, Cole Custer is third, Briscoe fourth, and Ross Chastain running fifth. Harrison Burton dropped back to sixth. Brandon Jones is up to seventh. John Hunter Nemechek is in eighth. Noah Gregson ninth, and Jeb Burton running in the 10th position. Christopher Bell pulling away now, has almost 0.8 of a second lead over Tyler Reddick. Reddick, the debris off of the grill, but now he's playing catch up. The difference in speed from race leader Christopher Bell to these cars that he's passing now and putting a lap down is ridiculously fast. I mean, Christopher Bell looks like he's going 10, 15 miles an hour faster than these guys he's catching up with.
This has become such a part of racing now, having to work through these lap cars, slower cars, and where you find them. And again, we talked about this racetrack, how treacherous it is. You don't want to be in that outside lane when you pass somebody. You want to try to get underneath them.
Yeah, the closing rate is just so much. So, Junior, my question, the track is very narrow. The bottom lane has grip, but it's treacherous for like the 98 right here to move up one lane.
Yeah, I mean, that could take half a second, 3/4 second off your lap. You haven't been in that outer lane in the traction compound. You don't know how much grip it has. So you can't go up there and take unnecessary risk. Take yourself out of this race. Watch the 20 car. Gingerly go around that lap car, getting closer and closer to that traction compound. Very carefully doing so. These guys just have too much on the line. They know they got a lot of points here above the cut line, but in one race, it can just about all be erased with an accident at this point in the race. No stage 1 points, that'd be a big problem for anybody in the playoffs.
We got a car spinning in the middle of, oh man, a huge wreck in the middle of 1 and 2.
That's the 66 into the wall, very hard. Bobby Earnhardt. And the back of that car is gone. Turns 1 and 2. We have heard so much about that. Less banking there. So difficult to maneuver.
66 was in heavy traffic coming down the front straightaway. And as they entered turns 1 and 2, I think they were side by side in the air. You mentioned less banking, less grip, and then less downforce in traffic.
Bobby Earnhardt, Jeffrey's brother.
Looks like part of the car is gone.
Yeah, the whole back of the car crazy. Looks to be gone.
Just mashed down. See.
Down at the bottom of the track.
Oh, that's Noah. Just like you called it, Steve.
He's going by him so fast, the air just disappears on the side of that 66, pulls the 66 around. Here it is again. Look at that.
Just round it goes. How about the photographers in the background? They were scattering.
Flinching.
Yeah, that was a big moment there for Noah.
Great job by the fuel cell. You have to remember, what used to be behind those rear tires, that rear clip holds that fuel cell with 18.5 gallons of fuel 20 laps into the run here. So they've burned off 7 or 8 gallons. That still means there's 10 or 11 gallons of racing fuel back there.
And there's a rubber bladder inside of that fuel cell, right, that holds that in case of crashes like this?
Yeah, a rubber bladder inside of a can. There's actually foam inside of that. Doing a nice job. You don't see any fuel leaking out.
And we see Bobby out of the car. That's great.
Just a little bit of damage on the left rear, way at the very back. I don't think that's any issue whatsoever.
Whew.
So that means, yeah, that means a restart. And we have already seen how it can be a little bit dicey through 1 and 2. They'll be too wide again for the restart. Wild ride, though, for Bobby Earnhardt, ending his night early here at Texas Motor Speedway. And for the first time, NASCAR Champions Week will be going to Music City. You can join the celebration and join NASCAR in Nashville. That's December 3rd through the 5th. All you have to do is visit championsweek.nascar.com for more information. Haley was in the garage when they fired the engines. He came back out of the garage because of a qualifying issue. Well, Justin Allgaier had to start at the back because of an engine change, and look at how his night has already gone.
Yeah, I mentioned at the start, right? To try to safely move up through the field, safely being the key word. He's doing a nice job working his way through traffic. You can see good pace in this 7 car, able to move through, running right around the bottom of the racetrack, Jeff.
Yeah, just taking his time, being smart. Justin Allgaier has so much experience. He's not going to overstep his bounds at this point in the race. Done a nice job driving himself up into the 12th spot. Now this caution gets him caught right back up. Some of these guys thought maybe they could keep him from gaining some stage points in this first stage, but he's in good position to get them.
Then you look at the round of 8 playoff points as they run. Christopher Bell at the top again. If you win, you automatically have a spot in the championship. 4, Reddick 63 points. Custer 61, Briscoe 20 already above Allgaier, who is currently out. Dave.
And Rick, at the start, when he dropped from 6th to 36, remember they changed an engine after practice yesterday, he said to his team, you know, I'm not going to lie, this is a little further back than I'd like to be. And then when this caution came out, he radioed his crew about making his way through. Listen to what he said.
Yeah, by the way, too, I was way too patient at the beginning. Just worried that a couple of these guys were a little...
Way too patient. But remember, Rick, what we showed, the closing rate that the leader had on some of the lap traffic, I think he had a good reason to be patient, and now he's getting really close to earning stage points again.
Yeah, we showed him he's currently 20 points outside of that championship 4, and he needs to gain as many points as he can, and points are paid at the end of stage 1 and stage 2 if you're in the top 10. And so he's fighting to get into the top 10, currently running in the 12th position. The problem with starting 12th, if you start in an odd or an even number, you're starting on the outside, and we've already shown that it's difficult to hold your position if you start on the outside.
I would think, though, Jeff, this restart, they'll be on warmer tires. That's got to give the drivers a little bit more grip than that initial start of the race.
I would think so. I think it'd be a little bit better. Question is, how much are they going to trust it? And it's really easy to trust it too much. You see this caution is taking a little bit of time. Probably had to replace some of those styrofoam blocks behind that wall. When Bobby made contact with it, it damages those styrofoam blocks.
Let's go to Kelly.
So, Rick, while we were under this caution, Noah Gragson brought his number 9 car to pit road. We saw that little bit of damage on the left rear to his car. Initially, he thought he had a tire going down. Then the team looked at our coverage, said it looks like all four are up. But then, in fact, they decided to be double sure. So they brought him to pit road, changed all 4 Goodyear tires. But now he's lost a lot of track position. Right now, I see him showing starting 26th on this restart, I should say. We'll see what he can do with that fresh rubber, Marty.
Kelly back in the Xfinity Series garage. Jeremy Clements has pulled his car back here early in the race. They initially thought it might be a fuel pickup issue. They had no fuel pressure. In fact, they said it was intermittent on the track. Jeremy had to limp it back here to the garage area. Very disappointing for the scene to be sitting in the garage area, Rick, so early in this race, because they finished 6th at Kansas just a couple of weeks ago. Had high hopes coming in here to Texas, but an early fuel pickup issue for Jeremy Clements.
Yeah, definitely not happy about this. His only win in the Xfinity Series came at Road America back in 2017, but was 6th in Kansas, the very last race that we ran on a 1.5-mile racetrack.
Last week's winner, Brandon Jones, was running 7th. maintained the one to go, and he had to pit. He must have some kind of a problem. We'll get a report. Let you know exactly what's going on.
With him pitting, that gives Justin Allgaier one more spot because he was running, as you mentioned, up there in the 9th, 10th position. And so now Austin Cindric is in the 10th position, which is a possibility of gaining points. Justin Allgaier just outside in 11th, and Michael Annett in 12th as we get ready for the restart.
Tyler Reddick in the outside in that green and white car. He's an aggressive driver. He doesn't mind running the outside. He's going to test the limits right here.
Up through the gears they go. Christopher Bell getting a little shove there from Cole Custer in the 0-0 as they get up to speed and turn into one.
You called it, Jeff. The 2 of Reddick stays in the throttle, carries the momentum off the high side of 1 and 2, clears the 0-0 of Cole Custer.
Now it's side by side for 4th. Chase Briscoe in the 98 was on the outside. He's going to fall back. He'll be in the 5th spot. Ross Chastain, an aggressive driver in the 10, currently running in the 4th position.
Reddick, I don't know if he missed the corner or meant to be up a groove, but even with no one beside him, runs the 2nd lane in 1 and 2 that time. And look at the acceleration it gives him down the back straightaway. What will he do with the run? Oh, he's going to test the upper limits again.
I told you he wasn't scared. He doesn't mind trying it.
We'll see if that momentum will help him. One problem is that Christopher Bell, you never heard him lift in 3 and 4.
Well, the other issue is as he moves up to find some clean air on the nose of the 2 right there, look what it does to the 0-0. He now has clean air on the nose of his car running the bottom.
Let's see right here what it does on that outside lane on the back straightaway. I don't think it's quite ready yet, but it's good. You know what I mean? It's not terrible, but I don't think it's an advantage at this moment.
Dove back down to the bottom of the racetrack. Now he's closed the gap on Christopher Bell.
Man, that 2 car is so good in the middle of the corner. Now what does he do?
17 to go in stage 1. He runs up high again through 1 and 2.
He just slings it out there.
Watch this run, though. He got a good run off turn 2 that time. Let's see what he does with it. Let's see if he puts that front bumper on the rear bumper. No, he's going to try to take the air off Christopher Bell. Turn before him. Christopher's not having it.
Oh, but that 2 car is good. Look how close he's able to stay, even with running in the wake of the 20. So right here, you're going to watch as on board with the 20. He's going to turn to the bottom. The 2 should turn to the outside, run higher than Bell. Is that what he does? No, this time he follows him to the bottom of the racetrack.
Christopher Bell saying his car's a little bit too free right now, but he told Jason Ratcliffe, if you can tighten me up, there's a lot more lap time in this car. Did check in, Jeff, on his teammate Brandon Jones, who pitted from 7th a moment ago under the caution. They had a flat right front from a puncture, so that's why the 19 pitted.
And if they're tight, I think that would actually be a good thing. Most tracks you think get tighter, but as tracks cool, I've found in my career they free up, meaning the front gains grip, the back loses a little grip, so I think that's the balance you'll want. But Tyler Reddick in this too, Jeff, he is not giving up on that outside lane.
Another big run for Tyler Reddick as he fights once again to try to take away the lead from Christopher Bell. Let's go NASCAR nonstop. Tomorrow night on Sunday Night Football, Steve, do you know who's playing?
I do. The undefeated New England Patriots.
Okay. How about who they're taking on? They're going to Baltimore.
I won't lie. I'm concerned about this one. Baltimore's a good team. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, Football Night in America starts at 7 p.m. Eastern and 8:20 for the kickoff Sunday night. That's, again, only on NBC.
And that QB, Lamar Jackson, he is fun to watch for Baltimore. Fun to watch.
About like some of these guys out on the racetrack, we're seeing Harrison Burton trying to stay in front of the 22 of Austin Cindric.
I know they're not even the same make and not the same sponsor, but I thought I saw double there for a minute. The paint schemes are so similar on these two cars.
Harrison Burton has been running right there in the 7th position. Cindric behind him at 8th. Justin Allgaier has made it up into the top 10, running in the 9th spot right now with just under 7 laps to go. There's Allgaier. And again, the top 10 will receive points at the end of stage 1. But Jeb Burton would like to get that spot that Justin Allgaier is currently holding on to.
It's a really nice corner exit by Jeb Burton, being very patient, wrapping that white line. Don't leave it right away. That white line's your friend.
Especially when you're behind somebody. We're right here behind. You know, you said it. As low as you can get that air on that left front fender. It's a major difference. And I know it's crazy watching at home, but if you miss this white line by inches, it's a difference in speed. You get a little bit of latitude when you're the lead car, but when you're that car trailing, you have to be disciplined. That's why it's so hard to pass.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, Harrison Burton and Austin Cindric still battling for that 7th position. These two obviously had a little bit of a run-in at Kansas Speedway. And after that race on Monday morning, Austin Cindric walked into Team Penske shop and told Brian Wilson, his crew chief, hey, that was my fault. A lot of what happened to us at Kansas was my fault. I got upset too early in the race. I needed to stay focused better. And Brian said, you know what? I like that coming from a young man saying, hey, well, you know what? I could have done that better. I'll do that better moving forward. You've got to learn. You've got to grow. And Steve, that's what you want as a crew chief from your driver. Learn and grow from those situations. Don't let it bother you moving forward.
Yeah, that's the growth you're looking for, but it's easy to say Monday when there's no pressure and no excitement of a race. Can he apply it? I think he can, what I've seen from Austin Cindric, but that was a big mistake. He let his emotion get the best of him, and it cost him. Now, in the same situation 2 weeks later, can he control his emotion here with 4 laps to go in stage 1?
What he's going to try to do is he's going to try to get as close as he can to the 18 car. Pull some air off that spoiler. That works in this series. That little bitty spoiler on the back of these cars. If you can get really close right on corner entry, especially into turn 1.
And Harrison needs to paint that white line and shut the air off. That's a much better corner. The last time through, I thought he was a couple feet off the line. Maybe just missed his mark, and that helped the 22. Look at this. Shutting that air off gaps the 22, 4 or 5 car lengths.
You can't give him any help whatsoever. You got to get that car on the bottom of the racetrack.
Even if it's not better for your car, right?
Yeah,
you might want to make that big arc into the corner, but it's not about you. Play defense. Shut that air off.
Under 2 laps to go now. Tyler Reddick trying to hold on to the 2nd spot as Cole Custer running 3rd. Both still about 0.8 of a second behind Christopher Bell.
What I like about this, too, while the top lane I don't think is an advantage, I do think it is an advantage that he can go there. It might not be better on lap time, but as we see him go through traffic, it seems like Reddick can get through traffic a little better because he has some confidence to run a lane up the racetrack.
So again, points getting paid at the end of stage 1. This is the final lap of stage 1. And guys who might not get points, Michael Annett and Noah Gregson, they're the only 2 of the round of 8 competitors that are outside the top 10 currently. And there's the gap between 1 and 2. Tyler Reddick still running that high line, even through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Green and white checkered flag, and that will be a stage win for Christopher Bell. Reddick 2nd, Custer is 3rd, John Hunter Nemechek a good run there in 4th, Ross Chastain 5th, Chase Briscoe, Harrison Burton, Austin Cindric, Justin Allgaier, and Jeb Burton all inside the top 10 at the end of stage 1. Christopher Bell, is he flexing his muscles saying I am now the championship leader? BCSN is brought to you by Ford Expedition, built to be a better big. By Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, perfect for race fans. And by Applebee's. Visit Applebee's.com to get free Applebee's delivery every Sunday.
All right, we said it was going to be quick. Stage 1 in the books. Noah Gragson, unfortunately, we saw he had to pit there. Well, we think he had to pit. It was a little undecided if he had to pit or not. Kelly gave us a nice report about, they thought he might have had a flat, but then they thought it was okay after that little bit of a contact in 1 and 2. He only was able to get back to the 13th position.
Any chance, though, they could stay out here or just do fuel?
Yeah, fuel only, I think you
gain some spots.
Yeah, now I could buy that. Staying out, I think, would be outside their fuel window. I don't believe it'd be worth the risk.
Stage went pretty quick. You're saying that pit stops are going to go pretty quick. Let's go down to the Mobile One Peacock pit box, bring in Dale Earnhardt Jr. What'd you see in that first stage?
I saw what you guys saw. That was Tyler Reddick going to that high side. How impressive is that? Not a lot of guys look very comfortable in that outside groove, especially on that first restart. Tyler Reddick, though, fearless, right to the middle groove, actually making it work in 1 and 2. I think he's going to continue to improve what he's doing there, and guys are going to have to figure that out. The Cup guys are watching too. That's going to be something for those guys to try tomorrow. They're going to use that as well. And Chase Briscoe doing an amazing job tonight, doing what he needs to do. That young man is putting points on the board. He's putting stretching that margin between him and Allgaier and everybody else behind them. So give a call to Chase Briscoe for driving like a veteran so far in this race in stage 1.
And gaining points. That was the goal of stage 1. Justin Allgaier was able to get all the way from the back after the engine change from practice yesterday up to a 9th place finish in stage 1. Kelly.
You see Tyler Reddick in that number 2 car pitting from the 2nd position. Tyler said he was really pretty happy with the balance of his race car, especially firing off, but then it just started to build a little bit tight as the run went on, so he asked for just a small adjustment to help free him up just a little bit. 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel as well.
Cole Custer said he was a little bit tight when he tried to run the top, Kelly, but loose on entry and loose on exit was his biggest problem. He said, if you can help me, I can be a lot more aggressive, just like he did in the spring. Christopher Bell won stage 1 and will win the race off pit road here as well. He said, I need to be tighter on exit. In fact, significantly tighter. There's the race off pit road, Rick.
Yeah, big gainer was Harrison Burton as well as Brandon Jones, gaining 3 and 4 spots on pit road. And Ross Chastain lost 5 spots. The place you want to be on NASCAR Champions Weekend is with everyone at Champions Weekend. Experience the memory-filled weekend of racing action and excitement in Miami. Go to NASCAR.com/tickets to purchase your tickets today. And look at the fans, they're bundled up here. Rutledge, are you bundled up down in the infield?
You know I am, buddy, but I'm not cold at all. I found a beautiful fire pit. We're just kind of in the shadows of Big Hoss. The infield here always packs it out. My new buddy Juan made this. He's a Dale Jr. fan, made it for his friends JD. JD, you guys have been coming down here since the track opened, and I realized as I was checking out this whole trailer, this isn't even where you stay, right? This is just the party pad?
That's right. That's a party pad.
Where do y'all stay?
VIP camping.
Guys, if you can take a look at this trailer, it's a gooseneck with a cube box truck trailer that they put on. Then they built the deck right up top for all their friends to come hang out. And again, they stay outside in their motorhomes. This is just for fun, Rick. It is a party anywhere you go inside Texas Motor Speedway. I love this place.
Always fun, and that looks like the place to gather. Not only do they have the fire pit, but they've also got a nice deck area to watch from.
Rut, tell them we'll be down there.
Yeah, we'll be down there after the race.
An hour and a half or so.
Hey,
well,
Marty.
they got plenty of propane, boys. Y'all come join us.
Marty, what happened with the 10?
A lot happened with the 10, Rick. He had the wheel turned the wrong way when he came into pit road, and they couldn't get the front wheels to come down. Then they made the wrong adjustment. Steve, that's frustrating, isn't it? Because they made a wedge adjustment instead of a track bar adjustment. So they had to undo that. They came down for a second time.
Christopher Bell on the inside. Tyler Reddick on the outside as they restart. And stage 2 is underway.
Back on cold tires on this restart. Every other restart they've had, they've been on those hot tires.
And look at Christopher Bell run away right now. Can they reel him back in? Tyler Reddick holding on to second. Fight for third. Harrison Burton was looking to the inside now, still challenging for that third spot. Harrison Burton's going to go by Cole Custer.
Cole's not done fighting. Big run on the outside. They're going to enter turn 1 side by side. Briscoe thinking about it. I think that was a wise decision not to make it 3 wide.
Cole Custer making that outside line work. The momentum, will it clear the 18? No, Harrison fights back on the inside.
Not quite clear.
That fight for third continuing.
Now a push coming from Cindric from behind. This is where getting into turn 1 will get tough. The air off the spoil of the 18, being pulled around by the 00. Cleared him right there. Should be able to move up.
Custer went way high. Now Harrison Burton has the advantage. He'll get in front of that 00 of Cole Custer. Pretty impressive for the 19-year-old.
Chase Briscoe fell back quite a bit on this restart, all the way back to 9th.
Brandon Jones able to get by him. John Hunter Nemechek back in the 6th spot now after finishing up in the top 5. Riding along with Jeb Burton. Looking back on Michael Annett.
Look at that battle. How far these two gapped 3rd and 4th. That side-by-side battle. Now that allows Reddick to go try something else, because if it doesn't work, no one's there to put pressure on him. This is the time to try something.
Well, he's been trying that upper lane for the last 2 or 3 laps, and that last lap it seemed to finally really come in. Either his tires are working or he figured out the rhythm, but look at this acceleration by the 2 right here. We will have a battle for the lead on the backstretch as Reddick has a big run on Bell. What's Bell going to do? Give him the top? He pulls down to protect.
Reddick's going to stay up high. Stays in that 2nd groove. Will the momentum help him coming off of 4?
Hear that throttle, how much Christopher Bell is in the gas to ride along again.
Now Bell goes higher. Here comes Reddick to the inside.
I don't think Bell meant to be there. Drove into turn 1 a little bit too deep. Now the fight's on.
Side by side as they go into turn 3 for the lead. Tyler Reddick drifts up the racetrack a bit. Bell stays in the gas.
That battle taught Christopher Bell something. 3 and 4, that 2nd lane worked.
Bell trying to clear him. Reddick not giving him the position. Reddick still at the bottom of the racetrack. Here he comes again.
It's amazing. With these guys running this speed, they're still fast.
Yes, they're leaving the field racing, but this is exactly why that dark area on the racetrack has been treated, to provide this type of racing, to allow that outside car to have enough grip to run the non-preferred lane up off the bottom as Reddick comes back on the inside.
Here comes Reddick trying to make the pass. Bell hard into turn 1, and a caution has come out. Spin on the racetrack. It's the 86. Damage to the back of that car. That's Brandon Brown. And the deck lid, it looks like it's barely hanging on. So while the fight for the lead was going on, this was a fight just to stay going the right direction.
Couldn't tell. The 39 of Sieg was very close to the left rear corner. I couldn't tell if it was contact or just air. It'd be hard to tell from this angle as well. I mean, they move like there's contact, but I can't tell from that angle if they're actually touching. At these speeds, the air alone can make a big difference.
Brandon Brown's had some really good runs lately. He's had good speed. He was running 15th.
Guys down here on the pit box, pretty impressive to see Reddick obviously run down Christopher Bell using that middle groove, but then to see Christopher Bell jump up there and in just a couple laps, just a couple corners, figure that groove out enough to maintain that lead and maintain that battle.
Yeah, they were side by side fighting for the top spot as Brandon Brown went for a little wild ride through 1 and 2. That means another restart coming up when we return. It's Xfinity Series Racing, the O'Reilly Auto Parts 300 from Texas Motor Speedway. And just starting into stage 2, saw a very impressive performance already out of Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick, those two fighting for that top spot.
No surprise there, right? We expect them to be battling for the win, but I love the courage of jumping up in that outside by Tyler Reddick. Christopher Bell got up there. He didn't mean to get up there, but when he got there, he said, hey, there's a little more grip here than I thought. So Be interesting to see what lane Tyler Reddick picks here on this restart.
Well, you mentioned this restart, and what I'm going to really pay attention to is how much the top continues to improve. At the beginning of the racetrack, nobody wanted to be there at the beginning of the race. Only one stage in, and now the leaders are running there on purpose. Is it going to continue to get better as more cars move up? We've seen that with that traction compound. They spray it on the racetrack, and it seems okay. More of the cars running it, the better it gets. We could have maybe a 2.5 lane racetrack by the end.
And possibly, Cup guys are watching this race, and the sun's going to be out tomorrow, and we've seen this material works better in daylight, so good sign for tomorrow.
So you think that second, third groove is going to be there for side-by-side racing? I know, Dale Jr., you on the Mobile One Peacock Pit Box, you have been enjoying watching them work that higher line.
Yeah, I know, because it's treacherous, and if you've not ran up there, you just don't know what's going to happen when you set the car into the corner on the right rear. You're like, I hope it's got grip. For Christopher Bell, watching Reddick learn and understand that line and perfect it, improve it, was impressive. Then to watch Christopher Bell go up there to defend and in just a couple corners really maximize his speed there to maintain that battle with Reddick was really, really impressive. Just shows how talented those two guys are. Also awesome to see Harrison Burton up there running well. This guy has got a bright future. I'm excited about him. And these are the things, if you're a Harrison Burton fan, these are the things you want to see. Guy like that driving that car up into the top 3, right in the middle of some of the best guys in this series.
Yeah, right now there are 5 playoff contenders surrounding Harrison Burton, who's running in the 3rd spot. Kelly.
Okay, so Tyler Reddick had the lead when the caution came out. He said it's nice to have a little luck on our side. Now he has the decision which lane to choose. Have a listen.
Start. I'm feeling on top. What about you? It depends on the pusher. I guess it looks like the 0-0's fourth. Yeah, I am now. I wouldn't have said that at the beginning of the race, obviously, but yeah, I am now.
So you hear Tyler with his spotter Derek Nealon discussing it. He's chosen the top in part because the 0-0 of Cole Custer has been doing a good job of pushing guys on these restarts.
Well, there was some pushing and shoving, and I believe it was between these two 2 weeks ago.
So it was not a fight. We labeled it a skirmish.
A skirmish?
A scuffle? Yeah, a scuffle
Okay.
or a skirmish.
All right, well now Cole Custer, actually Tyler Reddick wants Cole Custer to push him.
Well, I like this outside lane. I think Reddick has proven that he's the first to go up there, has the most courage to go up there. And it's a lot different when you're accelerating out of the restart zone first. I would assume his goal is to get a good enough restart that he won't have the 20 right on his door, have a little bit of clear air to the left of him so he can decide exactly how high he wants to run at 1 and 2. If he clears the 20, Jeff, I would imagine he runs right down to the bottom.
Exactly.
We mentioned the skirmish, the scuffle. This is what happened on pit road when it looked as though they were just going to discuss things. Hand goes on the shoulder, Reddick decides to grab, and then the two had to be separated.
And now,
now they're running nose
to be
tail.
pushing each other at this point.
And they're coming. 2 by 2, Reddick on the inside. Excuse me, Reddick on the outside, Bell on the inside as the green flag comes out.
Two did not get the start I was expecting.
Is he going to get some help? Did Cole Custer give him a shove there? Now he rockets in front of the 20 as they come out of turn 2. Tyler Reddick holds on to the lead and pulls away from Christopher Bell.
Jeff, do you think Tyler Reddick just didn't overdrive the entry? Did he almost give up the speed on entry a little bit to make sure he'd have the exit? I would assume he would have to attack after the restart, but it worked.
I know it. Normally in these Xfinity cars, you can run wide open through turns 1 and 2 on a restart.
No thanks, just for the record. That's
I'm with you on that one, Steve.
The battle to get to the bottom has started back here, right? And I think it's worse back here probably in all this traffic without as much downforce. I think that white line helps make some grip for your car. A little different in clean air.
Jeff, you and I took some laps yesterday, and you reminded me just how narrow the backstretch is. I know it doesn't look narrow on TV, but that inside wall is right at the bottom of the racetrack. We see these guys 2 and 3 wide like it's no big deal down the backstretch.
Yeah, this track's very narrow. Get into trouble. It's really easy to spin that thing out off 2, and then you hardly can keep it off the wall.
Noah Gregson's still trying to get by the 1 of Michael Annette, and he will clear him. Gregson's been putting together some pretty impressive numbers The 21-year-old from Vegas, 20 top 10s already this season.
It is nice, but the struggle these two junior motorsports cars are going to have is they're currently racing for 11th and 12th. And just simply with a playoff car, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th, 11th and 12th are not going to do it. While they are solid runs, we're to the round of 8, Rick, right? Solid runs aren't going to do it.
You mentioned the back straightaway, Steve. Something I want all the fans to realize about this turn 1. Look how far down the white line is. It's forever away on the bottom. You and I, Steve, we took that lap yesterday, and you can't even see that white line, and it's so important to get there. It's the most difficult entry, I think, in all of racing because the visual, it's so flat, it's so wide. Look when Christopher Bell goes to the front straightaway, right? This is a normal, this looks like Charlotte, this looks like Atlanta, looks like all the mile and a halves. But as he enters turn 1, he's not anywhere near the wall, because if he goes all the way to the wall, it never turns to get back to the bottom. And so what's the most difficult part about that is if you don't get on the bottom, you're in trouble. Like, you don't make enough speed, and you've got to be so precise. The most difficult turn 1 entry, and I think, in all the racing.
Well, let's take a look at tonight's Toyota driver update as we're riding along with Christopher Bell. 3 Toyotas all inside the top 10 right now. Harrison Burton running 4th. Brandon Jones is 10th.
Brandon had actually gotten up to 7th. Remember, he had that trouble. He had to come down pit road with a flat tire. Had actually driven up to 7th. That restart didn't work out very well for him, and has gotten back to 10th.
And what a night for Justin Allgaier so far, up into the 5th position. I just mentioned Gregson and Annette, 2 of his junior motorsports teammates racing outside the top 10. Not the case for Justin. Started all the way in the back, continues to work up through the field. You wonder, it's one thing when you pass a guy in 15th and in 10th, but it continues to get tougher. Here he is all the way on the rear bumper of Harrison Burton for the 5th position. Excuse me, for the 4th position. Try to take a spot away from the guy.
Don't do it. Don't take a spot away from him. Right now, nobody's taking the spot away from the guy up front. Tyler Reddick has a 7/10 of a lead over Christopher Bell right now, Kelly.
Yeah, but Rick, once again, Tyler Reddick has a little bit of debris on his grill. He said it's not as big as that piece of debris we saw at the start of this race that forced him to essentially pull out of the lead so that he could remove that debris by using the air off the 20 car of Christopher Bell. But his temperatures are rising. He said 265, now 270. They've told him just to keep an eye on it, but you can see there a little bit of debris on that grill, Dave.
And as Justin Allgaier tries to chase down Harrison Burton for that 4th position, had an interesting conversation with his crew during the caution. He got an adjustment for a car that was fairly loose into turn 3, but really tight off the edge of the 4. And he said one of the biggest reasons is it's hard to adjust here. He was discussing with his team was that in turns 1 and 2, you're way off the gas and on the brake, but in 3 and 4, you're almost wide open. Different ends of the track, you drivers know this, can really get things difficult in terms of adjusting on your race car.
Dave, it's so difficult because everything that you do in 1 and 2 is almost opposite of what you want in 3 and 4 because of the different speeds. Just think about how the front of the car works, right? The car is not loaded up in turns 1 and 2 like it is in 3 and 4, and that creates a huge challenge for the teams to try to make it drive good on both ends of the racetrack.
You've got to drive well, and you can't just stick to the bottom of the racetrack because we've seen the passes take place on the high side. Look at how tight it is for the lead. Here comes Christopher Bell looking to the inside, trying to take the spot away from Reddick. Because of that lap traffic, it slowed Tyler Reddick down, enabling Christopher Bell to get to the inside, and now Reddick surges ahead on the high side.
Rick, I think that Reddick actually went and used that lap car to get the debris off the grill. And that's what brought this battle close together.
And the debris is now gone, and Reddick is gone as well as he's trying to check out on Christopher Bell running in that 2nd spot. Cole Custer is 3rd, Harrison Burton 4th, 5th, Justin Allgaier as we go NASCAR nonstop. Houston, Texas native David Starr gets into the wall through the grass and has climbed out of the car. This is how it happened.
Stephen Parsons behind. Looked like just a little bit of a contact. Stephen Parsons, I've watched him race a lot. He's not that kind of guy. Just a little bit of a mistake there. He actually works on these race cars, so he knows how valuable they are and how much work goes into them. He works really hard.
And this was just moments ago, but right when we went to nonstop, you saw this. Tyler Reddick looks like he lost the groove a bit there and had to catch that car. Actually tags the wall just very slightly.
Yeah, it does a nice job. I thought it was going to be heavier contact. That's a tough spot, the transition off these corners here at Texas Motor Speedway. He's high. You see him turn into the right. Now you watch that left front tire. It's going back and forth. He's chasing the car currently, and I mean, just a little contact.
Yeah, you worry about that right rear quarter panel, don't you, Steve?
Well,
moving that thing over just a little bit.
I agree, but these composite bodies on the Xfinity cars, it seems like they hold their shape pretty good. If it was a cup car and it was a metal quarter panel, I would be very fearful. But it seems like these composite bodies hold their shape and kind of return to their original shape.
So we've talked about how awesome it is that he's up there pushing the issue, but that's the negative, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you go up there and you're trying to make things happen, and you have been making them happen, and then overstep your bounds just a little bit. Pit road open right here.
Decision time, decision time. Half the field split. The leaders stay out.
There'll be 9 to go in stage 2, and again, points delivered at the end of the stage. If you're in the top 10, Cole Custer, Harrison Burton has come down pit road, Austin Cindric, Brandon Jones, Marty.
Cole Custer coming down pit road. Interesting, Christopher Bell stayed on the racetrack, a move that won Ryan Sega's stage here in the spring. Custer saying his car was too free. So if you can tighten up the whole corner, that would really help me out a lot. Austin Cindric saying we are still too tight. Then he went up on the track bar and 4 fresh Goodyear tires for these guys. Interesting moves here on pit road, and those who didn't come down pit road.
Bell, Reddick, and Allgaier stayed out. You saw Cole Custer make his way to pit road. We're going to see a restart when we come back. Very few laps to go in stage 2. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Best Western. Welcome to today's Best Western. Book now at bestwestern.com. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Perfect for race fans. Just getting the 52 of David Starr loaded up on the rollback. So taking a little bit longer for this cleanup to take place. Rut.
You know, we've heard a lot of people talking this week about the fight that happened. And one of the people that weighed in is none other than Torchy's fan, Tony Stewart. Take a listen to what he said about all the fighting he's seen lately at the track.
It frustrates the crap out of me. I can't stand watching these guys. I'm watching Joey Logano with his hand on his crew guy in front of him so he can act like he's swinging back here. I'm like, for God's sake, guys, this is getting embarrassing. I tell you what, just line both of them up. I'll whip their ass by myself together. I don't care. I'll take them both on. We can do it right after this is over. Take them to the media center. I'll whip both their asses. You can put them right beside each other. I'll take them down.
Some tough words there from Tony Stewart as he got inducted into the Texas Motorsports Hall of Fame. And then, you know what, in that same sort of vein, Steve, I came to Torchy's because you said you'd like a taco, and guess what? Neither of these are for you.
Oh, Rutledge.
Oh, yeah.
We were friends.
Bring it.
I believe that's called a teaser.
Over?
Yeah.
That's a teaser right there.
Mm-hmm.
So he referenced Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin. Tomorrow, they're back on track, maybe next to each other, maybe nose to tail. 1:30, it's NASCAR America pre-race. Countdown to green at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, it's the second race of the round of 8 for the Monster Energy Cup Series.
So Rick,
from Texas.
Can I say that I thought Tony Stewart was always unfiltered, but a retired Tony Stewart is completely unfiltered?
He's unfiltered, that's for sure. But he seemed pretty passionate. So again, short track racing at Martinsville, and a little extra shove there at the end. That didn't sit well with Denny. This crew member, he's no longer at the track after pulling Denny Hamlin down. But it got heated, and right away, track president Eddie Gossage he's good at putting up billboards and posters. He faced those two off, and that matchup will take place tomorrow. As we get ready for the restarts, 6 to go. Christopher Bell on the inside, Tyler Reddick on the outside. A little help from Justin Allgaier in the 7.
And you look back deeper in the field, more cars stayed out than originally thought. We had 11 cars stay out, so tires back in traffic.
Going to be an issue. They're going to help these drivers out for the final 5 laps.
5 laps, it's so difficult. Tires, not a huge value here at Texas. I think track position obviously much more important as you see Bell and Allgaier drive off the front of the field.
How about John Hunter Nemechek in the 23? Fighting right now for that 3rd spot. And safety violation for the 18 team. And the 51 was speeding on pit road. So 2 penalties that will have to be served. As we see Bell out front, Allgaier running 2nd, right in his tire tracks, coming up on 4 to go. Justin Allgaier, maybe the biggest surprise of 2019, has not won yet this year.
I would say if Justin Allgaier can finish right here in 2nd, that would be a win for them.
Yeah, look at the points on the left side of your screen. Allgaier now in that 4th position. Top 4 in points will advance to the championship for Miami Homestead after next week's race. Dave.
So talking with his crew chief before the race, he said we just have to pick them off one at a time getting to the front, which they did. Remember, they got 2 stage points at the end of stage 1, and now look at this, a great restart for Justin Allgaier. Something he's worked very hard on the last couple of years, puts him in 2nd position here, a chance to earn 9 stage points. And as we look at how they run right now, he's back above the cut line, even if just barely.
The strategy called by these teams that came to pit road, I don't think the idea was let's come get tires and try to win the stage. It's actually the opposite. Let's come get tires and fuel now and stay out at the end of the stage. All of these drivers that are going to score points will have to pit still. That will give drivers like Cindric, Cole Custer track position.
And they can do it on one more stop, right, Steve? I mean, there's only 112, maybe 111 laps to go in the race once they come back around. So one more stop could get them to the end. They don't have to come during this stage break.
Correct. The teams that have pitted will stay out at the end of the stage here on the final lap. We see Christopher Bell, 0.6 of a second lead over Justin Allgaier. Tyler Reddick in 3rd. John Hunter, as you mentioned, Rick, up to 4th.
And this year, Christopher Bell is the only one to sweep stages and go on to win. He's done it 3 times. Could it be a 4th tonight? He'll win stage 2 at Texas. Allgaier hanging on for 2nd. Reddick is 3rd. John Hunter Nemechek 4th. Chase Briscoe, Noah Gregson, Austin Cindric, Cole Custer all gaining valuable points. Brandon Jones and Jeb Burton all inside of the top 10. He won stage 1. And now he backed it up with stage 2. Christopher Bell on his way to another sweep.
Back at Texas Motor Speedway tonight, the Xfinity race at the end of stage 2. There you see the stage points earned tonight in this very, very critical playoff battle. Pretty important restart right at the end of stage 2. Especially for Justin Allgaier and Chase Briscoe. Both of those guys in the 2nd row. Look at Justin Allgaier pushing the 20 car, Christopher Bell, out in the lead. But then what happens down here in turn 1? Intentional or not, Justin goes into the middle groove and eventually up and takes away any advantage that the 2 car might have had to use that outside line to stay on his door. He takes 2nd spot, actually puts Chase Briscoe, who restarted 4th, back in 5th position by making those moves. I think it's a very thing that might help Justin Allgaier get into this next round, Dave.
Allgaier pockets his 9 stage points and comes down pit road for 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Just a little bit of an adjustment to help get the car into the track a bit better, Kelly.
Tyler Reddick said he was just too tight on that last restart, especially when he's on throttle, so he has to be freed up just a little bit more. You see the adjustment there for Goodyear tires, Marty.
20 points on the board so far for the driver of the 20. Christopher Bell wins that stage, comes down pit road. So the car was better on that run, but I need to be tightened up on the restart. That's that wedge adjustment at the very end. He easily wins the race off pit road, but Rick, as we talked about, all those cars who pitted at lap 81 all stayed on the racetrack.
And we'll see how that works out for them. Austin Cindric will be up front when we come back for the restart. Let NASCAR Drive be your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with our high-definition in-car cameras. All you have to do is visit NASCAR.com/driver. You can download the NASCAR mobile app today. What a great shot of the moon there is getting ready for more of the Xfinity Series playoffs. The O'Reilly Auto Parts 300 continuing, getting ready for the final stage.
I think as expected, big change up in the running order with this caution late in stage 2. Some teams opting to pit, others opting to stay out. So you see at the top of your screen as it scrolls across what lap everybody came to pit road. The first car off pit road is Christopher Bell in the 9th position.
Austin Cindric had passed Cole Custer during that restart, and he's chosen the bottom. A little bit of surprise there. Seems like the top's been working pretty well. That 19 car on the inside, he's had a lot of issues, but when he has clean air, he is fast. Brandon Jones, let's see what he can do now that he has some track position.
And Brandon Jones, again, the most recent winner in the Xfinity Series, winning at Kansas 2 weeks ago. Austin Cindric on the inside in the 22. Cole Custer in the 00 on the outside. Green flag back in the air. Right away falling back, Garrett Smithley in the 0.
Nice start by the 22, takes control of the race. Now that puts Brandon Jones and Cole Custer side by side for second. Brandon Jones looks like he's going to clear the 00. And back here we have Bell and Reddick working through the traffic.
Allgaier as well. Allgaier in front of Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick now. Running back there in the 9th position. Up to 8th for Allgaier. He was able to get by Greg Galding. And running very strong. Allgaier able to hug that white line.
Chase Briscoe ran the top of the racetrack, and I think it moved up about a groove more than he was looking for, Jeff. He wanted to be right on the edge of the dark surface. He was a full car width up. Once again, off the bottom. That's going to help Tyler Reddick paint that white line, drive underneath the 98, and oh, the 98 is high again.
I think he saw the 18 on the outside of the 10, and he thought he could make it work, and he got it there, and it just didn't stick.
The 98 running the higher line, though, Dave.
And they made an adjustment to try to help him right there, exiting the corner. The car was a little bit tight. But listen to their championship conversation about points during the caution.
I'm not 100% sure where he finished that first stage. I thought we gained 2 on him, and I think he just gained 3 on us. Stage racing's over now, so let's make this thing drive the best we can for the rest of the night.
That's right.
Everything we can.
The math is over. They have each earned 11 stage points tonight. They came in almost deadlocked at the cut line. That's Chase Briscoe and Justin Allgaier, and now they've each earned 11 stage points. So it's neck and neck for that 4th spot.
See this battle for second. A lot of cars in one spot. You see how difficult it is. Watch how they all go straight to the bottom of the racetrack. If one of those drivers in front gives just a little bit of air on the bottom, that makes it so important for the trailing car to really be all over that white line, get some air to that left front nose.
I'm really interested to see how this final stage will play out. A year ago, this stage had 7 yellows. It was a caution-filled race with 99 laps to go. Are we looking into a long green flag run? Are we going to have a rash of yellows? Tyler Reddick, 3 wide. We'll try to get 2 for 1 down the backstretch. I think he'll do it.
Oh, up the racetrack, though. Ross Chastain back on Allgaier.
Chastain taking that position a little bit loose on the exit of 4.
Really loose.
And no love lost between Allgaier and Chastain. They've had a few run-ins this year.
Yeah, I believe a road course.
Yeah,
there was a little bit of aggression shown by both drivers.
We are going into the bus stop, but you're not leaving. I think was exactly how it went down.
So now Ross Chastain has fallen back, and he's got the 98 of Chase Briscoe a little higher on the racetrack, and he's fallen back into the grasps of Briscoe. Chasing after Bell, and again, these guys who came to pit road trying to fight back and get that track position that they lost. Allgaier is 7th, Bell 8th. Ross Chastain running in the 9th position. Chase Briscoe behind him in 10th.
Hey, Rick, I'd love to recap the night for Ross Chastain, but I need a few pages of paper if you don't mind. They pitted twice because they made a wrong adjustment at one point after a slow stop that preceded that. Then they came in for an extra stop because they wanted to add a packer to the front of the car. And on that stop, the jack man was over the wall too soon. So they got a penalty there, but they have rallied back, and they're among this group with Austin Cindric that pitted at lap 81 back in the mix. It's funny how the pit strategy sometimes can put you back in the mix, but Chastain in the top 10.
See Cindric, how important that track position is, using it to his advantage, painting that white line, not letting the 00 of Custer have any sort of air, any sort of advantage. I mentioned how many yellows there were a year ago. These leaders, they've done a nice job of using that strategy that Marty just talked about, getting the track position. Now they don't want to give it up. They would much rather have this race run green.
Harrison Burton running in the 5th position. Tyler Reddick now closing in on him inside of 2 car lengths.
Watch Tyler Reddick as he drives into turn 1. Doesn't even think about running the bottom. Just right there in the middle of the racetrack. He's the only one I see that's real confident in making that happen.
So this is what happens when drivers get done with a race and they say, I couldn't get through traffic. The air was bad. For them, it was. But we have the ability to see the entire race, and when they go back to watch it, they're going to say, well, man, I need what Reddick had, because he can move through traffic because of that second groove.
Reddick takes the 5th spot away, and now he'll try to chase down Jeb Burton, who's running 4th. The lead heating up as Austin Cindric, his mirror is getting full of Cole Custer. Marty.
Cole Custer stalking Austin Cindric. He's had the same problems he's had all evening long. Loose end, tied off. But with Cindric leading, I want you to look at the left-hand side of the screen. And Steve, that's how quickly the game changes. Remember a moment ago we were talking about Justin Allgaier being above the cut line, but with someone below the cut line. If they were to win tonight, like Austin Cindric, who came in 30+ below the cut line, that picture would change immensely going into Phoenix next week. The final race to make it to Miami and a shot to win the title.
This playoff format is unpredictable. You just have no idea. That win you're in can change everything.
But strategy-wise, Austin Cindric, they came to pit road on lap 81, so they'll have to come obviously sooner than guys like Reddick, Allgaier, Bell, Briscoe. All those guys came back on lap 93.
Yeah, but you're only talking 5 or 6 laps. I love the strategy that the 22's on. Done a nice job tonight.
Here comes Cole Custer as they're getting into lap traffic. Austin Cindric trying to find the right line. It's allowing Cole Custer to close the gap. 0.2 of a second separating the top two. And Marty, hearing something about the 20, are they having issues?
Yeah, maybe a brake problem for Christopher Bell, who's dominated the race to this point. Listen on the radio, this transaction happened just a moment ago.
It's like I'm getting looser, seeing I don't have brakes. I don't know if it got tied together.
Steve, he also said the longer he runs into the race, there's more brake fade, and the brake seems to be getting longer inside the car. So how much concern would you have if you're Jason Ratcliffe?
Well, I have absolute concern. I mean, there's still a lot of laps left in this race, 84 laps. You see this heavy battle between Allgaier and Bell in traffic. So, Jeff, Texas doesn't come to mind as a braking track, but you instantly pointed from the booth to turn one. You just think the speed they enter that corner with using more brake than we've seen here in the past.
It's potential. I mean, turn one is very difficult. We've talked about it all night long, and potentially you're using a lot of brake and putting more heat in it than you anticipate. I find that hard to believe, though.
Well, that's why my other concern, Rick, is anytime I've seen a front hub failure, what happens is as that hub starts to fail, the brakes move side to side and push the pads away, and the brake starts to get long to the driver. So sometimes the brakes are a result of another mechanical failure. We'll have to keep an eye on this 20 car, see if it can make it the rest of the night.
Well, he was looking okay there. He did glance underneath the 7 of Allgaier as we see a big run out of Cole Custer and the 00. As they're trying to get by Stephen Parsons in the 15. Here comes Cole Custer again, but this time Austin Cindric stops that charge.
Continuing to see that outside present an opportunity. See now if Custer can run him back down. Look at that. Just running that second lane.
He just can't get enough clear laps. He'll run a couple laps, catch the 22, and then they'll catch a lap car, either in the wrong spot or the wrong lane. Like right here, the 35 is up a lane. That is hurting the 00. He has to turn to the left.
On the right side, Jeff Burton trying to stay in front of the 20 of Bell. Again, Bell potentially has issues.
Bell had gotten by Justin Allgaier. I really think that Christopher Bell's car, he was more worried about it. As good as he's running, I have a hard time believing his brakes are real bad.
Yeah, that last lap, second fastest lap on the racetrack.
And having to negotiate through this traffic is becoming more and more difficult. Junior, you predicted this earlier, that lap traffic was going to come into play.
Yeah, we talked about it in the production meeting earlier today, and they're catching these cars so quickly. It takes laps to really set these passes up, create that momentum on the outside, and to be able to drive up there and make a pass on a car in the top 10 takes many corners to do that. But you don't have a lot of corners. A lot of times you're catching these lap cars, and they're taking the lines that you need, forcing you. Here you see the battle of the lead. 22 car, Cindric, getting that pressure from the 00. He's got more speed. Custer has more speed, but can't get enough clear laps without lapping traffic to be able to put together a pass.
Custer running that higher line there, and that allowed him the momentum to close the gap once again. Now it's inside of a car link.
And this might be the best chance the 00 has. The 22 goes up to the top, a little bit of a block, or at least a defensive set of corners. The reason I say it's the best chance because they have almost a straightaway clear to the next car. So as Dale mentioned, you need a couple clear laps. They might get him here.
But what does Custer do now? Went to the top. Going to get that good run off turn 4. Now Cindric's going to be in a position. Does he block?
There's a lot of racing left to throw a big block here. 76 laps to go.
But he's seen this second lane work. He's got a good run off turn 2. Good
Cindric
move.
Holding him off. And Steve, as they are battling here, these two cars, I'm trying to do the math in my head, but these two cars, Both came to pit road on lap 81. If they can go 60, that puts him at 140, and then 60 laps away from the end. That's right on their fuel window.
Yeah, but there's a ton of yellows. These guys up front have run a bunch of yellows, 8 laps of yellow. That's going to gain them 4 or 5 laps. I don't think it's that close. I think they have a 4 or 5 lap window. I expect them to be on pit road in probably 15 to 17 laps. But it's definitely a smaller window than the guys that came at 93. But tires haven't really seemed to matter, so it'll be interesting to see when the leaders pit if the other cars follow them or if they actually try to trap them a lap down for a little bit of time.
Marty.
Austin Cindric strung together a nice 33 laps here, staying out in front, but trying to keep the car out front. Here's what Josh Williams, his spotter, was giving him for advice on keeping the 0-0 behind him.
If you can afford a bigger arc, that would take some of his air away and take away some of his advantage running it.
Jeff, sometimes it's a game of inches, right? Just running where your other guy's not running. Sometimes that helps, right?
That's the game right now. That information coming from your spotter is so valuable right now. Lets you focus on what's out in front of you.
Well, that bigger arc almost got Austin Cindric into the wall off of 2 the last time by. They were coming up on a slower lap car, and Austin came really close, and we're seeing a little bit of debris on the grill now for the 22.
This middle lane is quickly becoming the preferred lane.
Ooh, the 98.
Slow on the track, the 98, Chase Briscoe.
The 98 was having a problem. He was running in ninth position with good speed, and all of a sudden started falling off and getting slower and slower.
He just said right rear.
He reported a vibration, guys, and said a car is getting looser and looser. They told him, bring it to us if you can. But, Steve, he was outside the pit window for the last pits, right? At about 75 to go. You can't make it that far, so he didn't want to bring it, and now he is the caution.
He is the caution, but nice job, nice save. We're not sure exactly what's wrong. It looks like a flat right rear. I don't know if that's the only issue for Briscoe, but it's a 170-mile-an-hour save in the middle of the corner. The big question I have now, though, is 72 laps to go. If you can run 60, can you find 4 or 5? I mean, it's a long ways right here, but I would expect everybody's going to come to pit road.
That's 12 laps is 18 miles, Steve. Where are you going to find 18 miles?
Well, instant yellow. That might get you 6, 8, 10 more miles, you know.
Can guys afford to make that gamble, though? There's some
Can you
that
afford
can.
not to?
Brandon Jones certainly can. Jeff Burton certainly can. Like there's some people that have nothing to lose whatsoever.
Well, I flip it the opposite. Gregson, running 11th, has no choice. He does not have a car that's going to get him into the next round. At this point, they need to be thinking gamble. Dave Ellens needs to say, you know what? Let's try something that works. Michael Anek running 10th. Just be honest with what you have for a situation. They have, at best, 10th, 9th, 8th place cars. Those aren't going to work when every other car in the playoffs is in front of you. The only one who currently isn't is Briscoe, and he was the yellow.
And what about Cindric, who came into this race 30 points below? He was the 8th of the 8 drivers based on points. Does he have to go out and do a must-win situation?
So, you know, it's always great to say, be aggressive, be aggressive. The standard is now aggressive. This gambling is not a gamble anymore. That is how you race. There's so many ways to get your lap back with the waiver rounds, double file restarts, right, Jeff? When you and I raced, short pitting was scary. Gambling on fuel was scary. Now that's just how these guys race. Wins are so important. The gamble is now the standard.
The other issue is there's only 18 cars in the lead lap. So that allows you, even if you do something that's not right, you like lose some track position, you're not going to go all the way back to 30th.
So the decision coming up. Do you come to pit road or not? Pit road is open.
Yes, and fill it up every last
and
drop.
Here they come. Sure enough, Austin Cindric's going to lead them on to pit road. Kelly.
Check in on Tyler Reddick first. He's pitting from the 4th position. And once again, Tyler telling his crew chief, Randall Burnett, that he's just been a little tick tight, and that tightness comes on throttle. The call, right side tires only on the 2.
Kelly Cole Custer has been singing the same song all day long. Loose on entry, loose on exit. If you can help me, I can be more aggressive. They're going to go with 4 Goodyear tires. So will Austin Cindric. He said, I just need to be freer. Up half around on the track bar. And look at that. Tyler Reddick will easily win the race off pit road with those 2 right side Goodyear tires.
but will he be able to stay up there? That'll be the question we're going to find out the answer to when they restart on the other side of the break. How about when you flash back to Brad Keselowski having to win? He goes to Talladega, calls his shot.
I'm not sure there's a tougher place to defend, right? So many people have a chance. And then, I mean, I don't know if I am surprised, but Harvick, Phoenix, we've seen it before. In 2014, he pulled it off.
Another one at Phoenix, Christopher Bell, 2018. Punched his ticket for the win.
Yeah, started 38th that day. You want to talk about a grind from the back at a tough 1 mile racetrack? Can Cindric match that feat? But that's, like I said earlier, the win and you advance. When this playoff format was created, just so many different items within it that make it so exciting, whether it's playoff points, whether it's a win in advance. Junior, it seems like every year in the playoffs, the stage gets bigger, the pressure increases, and someone shows up and puts on a great performance.
Yeah, you know, I was enjoying Cindric in the lead and watching what he was willing to do to keep it. He was pretty aggressive in trying to take away the line from Cole Custer, and that was a lot of fun to watch. And he knows, you can see it and sense it in the way he was driving, that he has to win. And he can't allow Cole Custer to take that lead, but these pit stops have cycled him out of that lead. What now, I guess, is he willing to do on these restarts? How aggressive is he willing to be? Because he can't point his way into this situation. He's going to have to go out there and take a win away from these guys. Is he going to be able to do it tonight?
Question I have is, can someone else take over control of the race? It seems like whoever has track position has dominated the race, whether that was Reddick earlier with Bell, then it was Custer and Cindric. Now Reddick is back at the front while only on 2 tires. You know, that's really what I'm waiting to see. Is we've seen great racing, and the lead hasn't stretched out. Second has been right there in the bumper, but no real passes for the lead. It's like you can get there, and then the leader kind of takes away your air and defends.
Well, we know that all the drivers on the racetrack are hungry for a win. And Rutledge Wood, you can't be hungry because last time we saw you, you were eating tacos, right?
That's right, Rick. I've passed up the tacos. I found 300 Baylor University students that are here enjoying a fun weekend away. Meredith and Riley put this together. I know for so many people it's their first race. What do you guys think?
It's been awesome. We just have been having the best time here. We really enjoy it. It's been a cool experience.
And Riley, you said every year you guys take a trip, you want to go somewhere new. Texas Motor Speedway is a great place to be.
Yes, sir, it is. We've never done something quite like this, so it's awesome to come out here. It's most of these people's first time to be at a race.
Unbelievable. You guys, I know it's loud where you are, but this whole section is having the time of their lives. What a great place to be, Texas Motor Speedway.
Go Bears. So now you have Reddick and Custer making up row 1. Cindric, Brandon Jones in row 2. Reddick is going to restart on the outside of row 1. Good decision here. Lane choice.
I like on the outside. I think you have so much more opportunity to control the restart into turn 1. If you're on the bottom and the guy on the outside gets a good start, gets on your quarter panel, you're stuck, Jeff.
First time they put 2 tires on that car today. How's it going to handle? Is it going to drive differently? It always scares me putting 2 on.
2-tire stop for Tyler Reddick. Got him out front, and they're sliding behind them as the green flag came out in the restart. Some guys were spinning their tires, not getting up to speed. Reddick is going to be able to hang on to it. Let's see if he can get out in front of Cole Custer for the lead here down the backstretch.
Cole Custer, though, is not letting Reddick get away. Drives back to his inside. Drives deep. Oh, man. That 00 got loose there underneath the 2.
Look at Brandon Jones on the outside trying to fill that spot. Oh!
Almost sideways for the 00 of Cole Custer.
And Algar aggressively on the outside.
Cole Custer checking his breath right now.
Well, the 00 is still off the pace. I don't know if he has a flat tire or what the issue is. There you go. Got a flat tire. That's how quick it can change.
Tires look good. Just clean
As he
them up.
drops back, they just changed 4 tires on that 00.
Apparently now the tires look good. Maybe just stuff on the tires, but he was definitely off the pace.
Yeah, see right here is how loose he was.
You mentioned it. Allgaier, I didn't think there was a car width there.
Nuts flying as high as he was.
He found it.
Austin Cindric didn't think there was a car width there either.
Look at Brandon Jones able to stay up against the wall and avoid the slide of the 0-0 of Cole Custer. Christopher Bell able to get by also. So it's Reddick, Brandon Jones, Christopher Bell, Justin Allgaier, and Austin Cindric, the top 5. Here comes the 20 of Bell. This is for second. And Bell easily takes second away from Jones.
Jones looked like a really nice teammate there. So you're definitely faster. I didn't give you the spot, but once you got to my outside, then I gave it up.
Here comes Allgaier. Let's see if he's as nice to Allgaier if he tries to get by him.
Not sure it'd be quite that easy.
Allgaier working the inside line now.
You guys
he slides up the track.
You guys starting to see Justin Allgaier last 7, 8, 9 races. I feel like his speed is starting to come back. Look more like that 7 car that we're accustomed to seeing, Marty.
And Austin Cindric radioed a moment ago, starting to have a vibration in the 22 car. You saw that contact. They looked at it, said everything on the right side seemed fine for that 22. But Jeff, as your driver, you got a contact earlier with another driver. How worried would you be about maybe cutting a tire there?
I would be worried for sure. And also, as much as they have on the line, I think any kind of situation gets a little bit in your head as a driver, like, oh no, this is going to take us out, right? That's something that, oh, we'll get trouble.
Into the wall, and the caution comes out. And so, with 60 laps to go,
see Bass on the bottom of the racetrack. Back of the car just comes around. Spun it out, then contact. You see it already, just really early in the corner, got loose. Fortunately, it didn't hit real hard.
All right, Rick, so you and I had a debate on fuel. How far could they go? Who felt they had a chance to stretch the tank? This would be inside the window at 60. Track position race. If you're gonna pit, you want to pit now. You don't want to wait 20 or 30 laps. I don't think tires matter that much. So I think we'll see what the leaders think. If you somehow can stretch the tank, which would be a long ways, stay on the racetrack and gamble. You mentioned, Jeff, the drivers at Brandon Jones can gamble. Harrison can gamble. John Hunter Nemechek can gamble. They're not in the playoffs. These playoff drivers, though, it's going to be a tough decision. I think you have to come get fuel, make sure you can make it, but it'll probably be a gas-only stop.
And so the decision falls into the crew chief's hands now.
Oh, sure. Put it on the crew chief,
well, of
Rick.
course.
Well, if it doesn't work, it'll be your fault. If it works, it's just, that's good teamwork, man.
And what decision do you make?
Yeah, Jason Burdett right there for Justin Allgaier.
And you know, the problem for these guys is there's so much on the line. You can't run out of gas on the green with 3 to go. That would dig yourself a big hole. So for these guys to stay out, it's going to take some courage right here.
Well, the 2 of Tyler Reddick, we've seen him win on fuel before.
You save fuel during this caution. If another one comes out, you save fuel there, hoping that you will be able to make it the final 59 laps.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, they're not going to tell us exactly what their fuel windows are, but if you can run...
Do not pass the pace car here until we get to the commitment line. Do not pass the pace car.
So they're planning on coming.
Yeah, I really think, I mean, everybody says high 50s, maybe even a low 60, but you're talking 8, 9, 10 laps short. That is a long ways. You mentioned the cars in the lead lap. Just come get fuel.
And we're seeing quite a few make the move. Dave.
Stayed out.
Yeah, there you go. And they told Justin Allgaier, be ready just in case. Get your brakes ready so you can hit your marks. Fuel only. That means they're saving tires in case they get another late caution. Kelly?
Sounds like it'll be the same for the 2 of Tyler Reddick. The call from Burnett, fuel only.
And the same for Christopher Bell, going to be fuel only here. And Dave mentioned it. There's one more set of Goodyear tires here just in case they need it. Also taking a wedge adjustment for Bell, who wins the race off pit road. It was a tight one, though, with Tyler Reddick.
Now the question will be Ross Chastain. Does he have enough fuel? Can he save enough fuel to get to the end? Yep, he had just shut it off. "56 laps to go." Does Ross Chastain have enough fuel to make it 56 laps? He's going to have to save. Michael Annett on the outside, Chastain on the inside. Chastain way up the racetrack for this entry to turn one.
Ryan C. got really loose right there in the entrance to turn one. That's in a backup car, wrecked his primary car yesterday.
He falls back through the middle. And now Christopher Bell all the way up to second. And Justin Allgaier in the 7. He has moved up to third. Brandon Jones in the 19 on the inside of the 2 of Tyler Reddick. Look at the points on the left side of the screen. 10 separating 4th and 5th. Again, they'll have one more race to determine the points, who gets in to the championship 4. But every position worth a point, every position valuable tonight at Texas.
You mentioned fuel being a concern for the leader, Ross Chastain. There's other concerns now. Christopher Bell has moved into second, Allgaier third, and oh look, Reddick in 4th. 3 of the fastest cars trying to run down Chastain.
Points big for the 20 of Christopher Bell. Already 66 points. An advantage over Chase Briscoe.
Christopher Bell will just climb to the second lane right here, try to get a run on the 10 on the front stretch. Oh, got a little tight, maybe off the corner, a little higher than he was hoping for. Look at this battle right here.
Ah, that was dangerous.
Jeb Burton, Austin Cindric make contact. And we've seen this before. Austin Cindric has gotten frustrated before racing against others, make it a little more difficult for him to get by. Now he clears Jeb Burton.
The 7 of Allgaier has a nice run on the 20 of Christopher Bell. We talked earlier about Cindric, perhaps winning and changing the lineup. What if Allgaier could get up there and lead this race and go to victory lane?
Allgaier currently above the cut line. 10 points in front of Briscoe, who's the first guy out. And now Allgaier running in the second position.
I didn't see this. I didn't see this in practice. I didn't see this speed out of the 7 of Allgaier. Justin Allgaier, Jason Burdett have put a great car on the racetrack tonight.
And while all this is going on, Cole Custer.
Oh, around goes the 9. Noah Gregson got tapped.
Yellow.
Heavy into the grass. Caution comes out. He slides back up in front.
A lot of damage on the nose of that car. Went through that grass, just tore the nose off of it.
They want you to stop. You're blowing oil, please. There you go. Just stop.
Jeb Burton comes down. The 18 of Harrison Burton was there. And the one in the middle, Gregson, through the grass.
We saw all that battling on the front straightaway. You see right there, Noah went to turn and the 18 was there and contact. And look at the damage. We need to get that turf on all these racetracks so that doesn't happen where they just slide across it. It's a good view right here. And Noah trying to get underneath the 8 car.
Yeah, he hangs a left, right? He has a run. The 8's coming down. He's going to hang a left. The unfortunate part is Harrison Burton had already attempted to get on the inside of the 9. Harrison's not going to lift.
Can't lift.
Oh, look at that.
Tearing up the turf.
Yeah, no DNFs for Noah this year. I think this will be his first, though.
And that is a championship contender right there. That now he knows what he has to do next week at Phoenix.
What will these drivers be faced with the final race of the round of 8 coming up next week at ISM Raceway? We'll stick around for post-race coverage. We'll break down what these drivers will have to do in that final race of the round of 8. And then 2019 Rugby World Cup. It's England versus South Africa.
Yeah, go to the garage.
Said matter-of-factly, go to the garage. .49 laps to go. Gregson brings out a caution, which means Ross Chastain is continuing to save fuel.
Yes.
Out front. But he was going to be close because he came at lap 130. Allgaier was on pit road at lap 142. Bell, Reddick also coming at 142.
Ross Chastain is going to be difficult to pass. We've watched him race a lot, Steve, and he is going to do everything that you could possibly imagine to keep this lead.
Yeah, he knows the guys that are trying to run him down are playoff cars, and he's going to push them around like they have more to lose than he does.
But we've seen the drivers, they have options. I mean, if you run that high line, you get the momentum, you can get a run on somebody, get to the bottom of them, maybe in 3 and 4. We've seen options for these drivers to get by. Marty.
So this plays right into the hands of Chris Rice and Ross Chastain. I talked to Chris Rice's crew chief right before we went green. He said, I'm pretty sure we can make it. He even showed me his computer, Steve, and it said green on lap 200, but this certainly helps him out even a little bit more. I think his number 1 goal, though, even though he's going to be hard to pass, to Jeff's point, is keeping that 7 and 20, and more importantly, maybe the 2 behind him. They've all been fast this evening. Some cars coming down pit road here.
Sure enough, cars on pit road. One of those, the 00, Marty.
Yeah, among them, Cole Custer. And I wanted to double check just to make sure that was him coming down pit road. He had lost a number of spots there on that restart, falling from 12th back to 15th. So they decided to come down pit road here. We mentioned everyone does have 1 set of tires left. And with 20 cars on the lead lap, they're not going to fall too far back from where they are. So come down to make an adjustment and a wedge adjustment to tighten up that 00.
Playoff bracket's going to start to get a little clearer. Starting with 12 drivers. whittling it down to 8. And after next week's race, we will know who the championship 4 will be. And it's finish in front of the other 3. That's as simple as it gets when you go to Miami Homestead. And it's proven that you have to win. It's happened almost every year to win the championship. But right now we're seeing strength, I think, out of Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and maybe a little surprise out of Justin Allgaier tonight.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier, we've been seeing it coming. He hasn't had quite the speed that Bell and Reddick and Custer have had, but he's been closing that gap. Not surprised tonight to see him running well.
Yeah, you mentioned options. That's what's going to make the closing laps of this race so exciting is you have Chastain, who I think is probably, I'll say okay on fuel. I'm not going to say good, but okay. You can never trust a crew chief. So I know Chris Wright says he's okay. This caution only helps, and you mentioned he's going to make his car very wide, not only to try to protect the win, but he knows the situation. You know, you always want to be in the playoffs, so I'm not going to say it's an advantage not being in there, but in this situation, it's a bit of an advantage because he knows Allgaier needs that win, but what is he willing to risk? Can he afford an accident?
And Chastain's not going to drive this car as if he doesn't have enough fuel. He has nothing to lose. If he runs out of gas on the last lap, so what? He's not going to try to save fuel. No. If he gets a chance to, he will. But if they push him, he will not. And that's what needs to happen. They need to put tons of pressure on him, so he has to be in that throttle a tremendous amount trying to burn more fuel than he wants to.
All right, let's bring in Dale Jr. Are we about to see some fireworks here in the final laps?
Yeah, they just started right there with Noah Gragson. I mean, that was, for me watching Noah, that was a desperation move right there. A guy who feels like, he said it himself, he feels like he has to win this race or has to win at Phoenix. Doesn't think that he can get himself in on points. I think we may continue to see that as we go forward, not only in this race, but in Phoenix. You guys remember where they put the start-finish line at that racetrack? You guys remember what those restarts looked like down into Turn 1? Imagine some of these guys going into that race knowing that a win is the only way they're going to go to Homestead. We're going to see some crazy stuff next weekend, but this race right here, it's been good for me. I've enjoyed it, and I think we're going to see some more fireworks for the checkered flag falls.
I think so, too. 46 laps still to go. Ross Chastain continuing to shut the car off, saving as much fuel as he can.
So, Rick, when you start to look at the numbers, Ross Chastain will now be completing his 13th lap of yellow since last putting fuel in the car. That basically saves you six and a half green flag laps. So if he pitted, we'll say he was 10 short, he's found 6.5 or 7 of those laps already with these yellows. Perhaps even more, as it looks like they're stopping the cars here on the front straightaway.
Sure enough. They have stopped the cars as the cleanup continuing in 1 and 2. Let's go to Dave.
And Rick, I checked with Travis Mack, crew chief for Michael Annett, before this caution about staying out. On the last caution, he kind of shrugged his shoulders, smiled, and said, we'll be about 4 laps short. Now, they talked about what to do here, and he said, if you pit, Michael, you can probably get back to about 13th, but we're 6th now. This will help us on fuel mileage. I think we can make it. We're only 1 or 2 short. And Michael said, let's keep our track position. There is the one running in 6th place, Marty.
Well, Dave, Jason Ratcliffe has got a great view of all this mess they're trying to clean up over here while the cars are stopped on the front stretch. How do you feel about it with Christopher leading a lot of laps today, sitting in 3rd here with the 10 out there trying to save fuel to make it to the end?
Well, I mean, I like where we're at right now. We lost some ground there after the second stage, and we've made it back up. Pit crew's done a nice job on pit road. I don't like the way the track. Hopefully they're going to get the jet dryer out there and clean the bottom groove up since we're restarting on the bottom. But so far it's been good. I wish we could get a long run. I think our car's really good on the long run. These short runs, it's hard to say. Everybody's so gripped up. So hopefully we can get longer than 25 laps in a row and see where we're at.
Christopher was a little concerned about the brakes earlier. You kind of walked him through, okay, if you're losing brakes, this is how it's going to react. So are you concerned at all with that moving forward?
Well, it seems like he's been able to manage them so far. We are going to have to keep an eye on a long run. This is not a track you would think that would be a problem, but the speeds are up so much that when he's fighting a loose condition, if he's using that to keep the car settled, then obviously he can use more than he thinks he is. So I think that's what happened. So now that he's aware of it, he's got his pedal back. I think we'll be good from here on out.
All right, Christopher Bell sitting in 3rd. He's been strong tonight, Dave, hoping they can pull off the win.
Marty, the car running second started at the back of the field tonight. That was Justin Allgaier, Jason Burnett's his crew chief. So you've got 11 stage points. That's a good thing. And it looks like you have some speed in the 7 car. How's the rest of the race look for you?
Yeah, you know, Justin's done a great job fighting from the back. You know, unfortunately, having to go to the back for the start, you know, we got to the top 10, got a couple points there, finished second there in the second stage. And, you know, now we just need, if we get some clean air, you know, I'd like to see what we could do. You know, maybe if we can get out front and in the clean air and maybe get away from a couple of these guys.
It looks, I believe you have another set of tires laying down here. Yes, you do, just in case. Would you like to see the caution come out a little later and put them on and see what they can do?
You know, I don't really know. I mean, if we get the lead right here and we get out front, then no cautions, right? But I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. You know, the tires don't seem to really fall off a whole lot. You know, saw Tyler get 2 there that last time we all pitted for tires, and obviously he's got a lot of speed even with 2. So we'll see what happens. You know, right now everybody's tight on fuel, and you know, we'll see how that plays out to the end, and then, you know, there's no telling. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 more restarts, you know, to finish this thing out, and as we all know, anything can happen on those.
Yep. You can almost guarantee that here at Texas and anywhere actually these days, Rick.
Yeah, and in the background there, you're hearing the jet dryer, which is going to blow the track off. There's been a few drivers in the playoffs that have had some issues in this race. See Chase Briscoe up the racetrack.
Yeah, it was a great save. He was up there high and flat right rear tire. You see the puncture right there. Really high. Then the 0-0, Jeff, with perhaps an equally as impressive save.
Yeah, so loose right there. They continue to fall back through the field. Noah, this is really early in the race. 66 car, Bobby Earnhardt underneath him, lost it. And Noah fortunate to get by that without damage.
66, not so fortunate. You see just a little mark on that left rear quarter panel.
And then just recently, Noah Gragson across the grass, across the nose of Harrison Burton.
See the cleanup continuing.
That's why they red flagged it. There was so much oil on the racetrack. They're having to clean it up. You heard Jason Ratcliffe made mention of that. He's wanting them to get that cleaned up. Of course, if he was starting on the outside, he probably wouldn't be complaining.
So the cleanup is extensive, and it was the 9 that actually put this fluid around the racetrack. So the driver, crew chief, spotter they were told that they need to come visit the NASCAR hauler at the conclusion of this race. I'm guessing they're going to have a little talk about what took place.
Yeah, I've been there. Basically, if you know the damage was heavy on the 9, NASCAR probably instructed him to stop. Noah drove the car back around to pit road, hopefully probably thinking, hey, you know, can I repair this? You know, when they give you instructions from the tower, I have learned consistently, if you don't listen, they're going to have a conversation with you after. I've tested that a few times, and
they will be heard at some point in time.
Yeah, they explain to you, and listen, it's for this reason, right? NASCAR said, hey, look, you're wrecked, you're done, get off the track, so we can get this race underway.
All right, let's see if we can dial up Christopher Bell. We have his radio, and right now under a red flag condition, let's chat with him.
Hey, Christopher, Booth Boys, you got a minute?
Yeah, buddy.
Well, it's been an eventful night. How's it going so far?
It seems to be going okay. Just fighting some issues in here. I think got a shot at it, so that's all you can ask for.
All right, buddy, we're going to let you go. We see they dropped the yellow, so we're going to let you go focus on your race. Have a good night.
Thanks.
It always seems like when you talk with Christopher or you hear him on the radio that he's just right on the edge of potentially falling asleep. It seems like he is so just relaxed, and it's casual for him to be traveling around a racetrack at 180 miles an hour. Marty.
Rick, Chris Rice is always awake. He's never asleep. Hey, you weren't lying to me on your computer saying you were good to go at lap 200. Does this just play into your hands with this extra caution here?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be some more cautions. Our Nutrien Solutions Chevrolet has been up and down. We've made some mistakes on pit road, so we've had to overcome that. And like Matt Collick always tells me, the 10 car is here to win trophies, right? And we want to win trophies and cowboy hats, and we told him we would bring him a trophy if we win on Monday because he didn't come down, and our plan is to win trophies. So why not take a chance? We're not running for any points, anything like that. We're here to win a trophy at Texas.
Are you going to give Ross full permission to block every lane he can on this restart or what?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I got a phone call from the Collick Racing president, and he told me do whatever it takes to win this race and bring the trophy back.
Hey, you're the Collick Racing president. You also fired the crew chief today, which is you, right?
Today, the crew chief gets fired. Yep, I heard that too. So, yep, it's over with, and I'm just glad to be here, and have a chance to win this race, and that's what we're here for, trophies.
Rick, he fired himself. How about that? But if they win the race, he might rehire himself. Who knows?
I'm still trying to figure out the phone conversation that he said he had with himself.
I've had a lot of conversations with myself, but never over the phone, Rick.
And if you had a conversation with yourself, you should have been able to talk yourself out of firing yourself.
That's a good
right?
point. That's a good. He's in a position to be able to do that.
Chris Rice has a lot of energy, loves this position he's in. How about you, Kelly?
All right, so Noah Gregson had to take a trip to the infield care center. Has been released now. A premature end to your night, Noah. You're underneath the 8. Looked like you got into the 18. What happened from your perspective?
Yeah, just frustrating all night. Really thankful to be racing with Junior Motorsports and to be racing here in the Xfinity Series. I guess still got a shot going next weekend, but we're going to be in a must-win. So I haven't seen really the replay here, just catching the tail end of it, but just sucks. I mean, through the trial, you get really tight behind guys when you're squared up behind them, nose to tail. So trying to give myself a little bit of air on the left run and just got hooked. I mean, racing this place is really fast and sucks. I'm super thankful for Cessna to come on board this weekend, and we still got 2 more to try and get a win, but just frustrating this weekend. Thought we'd have more speed, but we're going to keep working. Super thankful for all my guys at Junior Motorsports, and just keep plugging away.
Thanks, Noah.
Clearly Noah dejected and down, but Noah needs to recognize that he's done a nice job this year. He's really done a good job, and he can go back and go to Phoenix and still have a chance and take the fight to him. And this is his rookie year, learning a lot. Disappointing finish to the night for him, but he has a lot to be proud of this year.
Are you nervous coming into this restart with the speedy dry that has been put on the racetrack down on the bottom groove?
NASCAR normally does a really nice job of cleaning them up. Looks dramatic, speedy dry flying, but normally there's grip.
Allgaier with a lot of wheel spin on the outside of the front row. That's going to allow the 20 of Bell to pull up alongside him.
Heading in over 150 miles an hour on this restart, and Christopher Bell hanging on to it, but can he hang on to second? Allgaier fighting on the outside.
I thought it was game over. Allgaier fought back on the outside. Impressive through 1 and 2. Now the 20 is going to slide up in front of him and take the air away.
Here comes Brandon Jones in the 19.
I like that move from Brandon Jones. Feel like there's so much confidence with him right now.
Brandon Jones trying to steal second away. Up the racetrack he goes. He has to catch it. The 2 of Tyler Reddick taking advantage of that spot.
And Ross Chastain sees all this in the mirror with a big smile as he pulls away.
Bell holding on to second. Reddick now fighting with Allgaier for the 3rd position. Allgaier coming back on the outside. And now 42 laps to go.
Look at that 2 car, didn't get to the bottom of the racetrack. That's going to open the door for Austin Cindric. Remember, Tyler Reddick's been running the middle lane all night long. He had to change his line to get to the bottom, and it didn't work for him.
Here comes Chase Briscoe in the 98.
It's quite a battle going on right here.
Brandon Jones in the 19. All swapping positions. Cindric moves up the racetrack. Reddick trying to get by in the 2.
Yeah, Briscoe, where do you go right here? You go to the bottom, you go to the middle. He went to the middle.
And into the wall. The 2 of Reddick. Once again, getting aggressive. Jones slides up the racetrack. Briscoe out of the way. Here comes Jeb Burton.
Some aggressive racing back here, guys. So right there, Reddick just in the wall again with the right rear quarter panel.
Not a lot of contact here, Steve.
No, not much damage at all, but live you have Reddick almost spinning.
And Reddick does spin into the inside wall hard.
And the caution is out again.
You saw it. You mentioned it, Jeff. They couldn't get away from one another.
Just so aggressive.
And look at the fluid coming out. The radiator is busted.
But you can just leave it there.
Can't turn it.
And I knocked all the water out of it.
It's just like the 98 was up the racetrack. Get another look at it.
You know, the 98's very high off the corner. And he looked, you can see it backfire out of the pipes. So the 98 jumps out of the gas. The 2 takes an evasive maneuver to the left. And that kind of starts the whole situation. But if you watch it again, the 98 is going to lift.
Right along with Jet.
Get low. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Dig, 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 dig.
Yeah, that all started in front of Tyler Reddick.
That 98 hit much harder than I thought.
He did. Tyler trying to gain control. See that left rear tire bouncing up and down. And then a big impact. And Tyler Reddick came into this race plenty safe. Plenty safe in points. He's going to leave here still on the positive side, I think, but...
Yeah, but that cushion is gone.
Yeah, and
the success that he has felt this season on mile-and-a-half racetracks, he's been the best by far, earning 48.5 points per mile-and-a-half race.
You're right, Steve. That's a big impact for that 98.
Yeah.
We talked about these composite bodies, how strong they are, but there's still the suspension when it hits those tires that hard. Look at that impact by Tyler. That's a huge shot.
You mentioned Reddick's success. It's impressive, and he's done it his own way. Aggressive, makes contact with the wall. Now this, I don't put on Tyler at all, right? This is just a bad situation. The 98 obviously gets in trouble. I mean, he can't just lift. He tries to avoid him and loses control avoiding. And that is as much of a racing accident as you're going to see. The right side of this 98, it doesn't look bad, but I'm concerned more about the suspension, the wheels, what has possibly been bent.
No lettering on the right rear tire at all.
I got too high there was my problem.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Well, there's a stating of the obvious.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Yeah, I'm like you, Steve. I don't know if I wouldn't have to pit right here. Look at all that. I mean, there's just so much to lose. Tyler Reddick, 5 points below the cut line right now. Look at the...
Steve, we've used the word composite
You mean Chase
body.
Briscoe below the cut line?
Yes, I'm sorry.
And going to work on Mike Lynette, Dave.
And they have been encouraging Michael Lynette to do things outside the box a little bit lately, take chances when they can. And Travis Mack says, okay, we're going to come down here. We're going to take our 4 tires and send you back out there and see what you can do with 37 to go here at Texas.
Well, we mentioned there were 7 yellows in the final stage a year ago, and it is proving to be, once again, a caution-filled final stage. Still 37 laps to go. There is a lot of racing ahead. I'm with you, though. So back to Chase Briscoe in the 98. I really believe, he's running in the 7th position. There are 19, call it 20 cars in the lead lap, much faster than the back 8 or 9 of them. So I feel he could come to pit road and drive back up safely, we'll say 10th. Get back to 10th, no problem. That's giving up 3 or 4 points. The opposite would be you stay out, which it looks like they're going to do. That right rear tire does go flat. You're going to eliminate 20 or 25 more positions. That's going to be way more points, Dave.
And Steve, that is a risk they're taking. They didn't feel that they could get up as far as you were suggesting they might. The reasoning was that if the wheel was still straight in the hands of the driver, then they believe that there is going to be an okay situation as far as the car is concerned. Tire does not appear to be rubbing on the right rear there, and so they're just going to stay out and try for it. They believe that they can make up enough spots to help Chase out here. He is currently in 7th.
Yeah, so Steve, when Dave reported that if the wheel was straight in his hands, basically what they're doing is they're asking him, okay, is your wheel lined up straight? When you had the wheel where you did at the beginning of the race, where it's right in the middle of you with the mark at the top of the wheel, is the car going straight? If it is, then the suspension's not bent.
Well, yeah, not on the front tires. But
even the rear tires would make it turn.
Yeah, no, my concern isn't the suspension. My concern is how much of the right rear tire I see outside the body. I agree with what you're saying about the suspension, but my concern is a tire rub.
Tire rub.
Yeah, good point. If you bent something in the rear, you're going to know it either way. But, man, it's just, I mean, that thing hit hard. That was not a glancing blow.
Really hard.
Hit almost as hard as, well, the guys on rugby. Don't they hit pretty hard in rugby? It's a little bit crazy. That replay will be coming up next on NBCSN, the 2019 Rugby World Cup Final, England versus South Africa.
Think they're a little tough, do you, Rick?
They're pretty tough. Yeah, they're pretty tough. Just about like the bodies on these cars. We saw Briscoe hit the wall very solid, but composite bodies, they didn't bend, bounce back, but potentially a tire issue there.
See Tyler Reddick looking at playoff points, still 25 points to the good. A couple cars behind him that are only 5 laps back. They could pass him. And then way back, there's a few cars that are a lot of laps that are still on track. I don't know if they can get to him or not, but looking like, well, maybe 22, 23 points still to the good.
So the Xfinity Series is not the only ones who's had to deal with issues at this racetrack. How about the Cup drivers in the spring and the issues that they had at this track?
He couldn't pick out his pit box and drove right past it.
Man, damn it.
Denny tried to come to pit road. He missed the entry.
He has gotten into the wall on the right side of that car.
Heavy damage here.
Both have penalties for uncontrolled tires.
A double penalty day and a checkered flag for Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, a lot at stake tomorrow for the race. The Cup guys going to be going at it around this racetrack during the afternoon. Should be a little warmer. That second groove, that top groove, I think it'll see a lot more action than it's seen tonight. And you can bet those Cup guys have been watching this race just to see just how much grip there is in that second groove. And a lot of those guys at Cup side, they have a lot of experience in these type of situations. You're not going to see a lot of those guys be real desperate, although Chase Elliott is pretty much in a must-win situation. Out of all the drivers, I think that is the one guy that has to go out there and throw those Hail Marys. The rest of those guys are going to try to do the best they can in each and every stage to get as many points as they can. That's what it's going to be like tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun.
Let's take a look at the playoff leaderboard for Monster Energy Cup Series. Martin Truex Jr. with his win at Martinsville. He's guaranteed a spot in the championship four. Everybody else will be fighting for positions. We saw Denny Hamlin won the race earlier this year here. Kyle Busch had issues. Joey Logano right there on that last position that makes it into the championship four based on points.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick sat on the pole today. So, you know, the first guy out is going to have the best starting position. And there's just something about that turn 1 and 2 here at Texas that just screams Kevin Harvick. You have to be patient, roll the white line. Like Atlanta, Phoenix, all the tracks where Kevin Harvick runs well, can he back it up? And Jeff, you continue to say, don't sleep on Ryan Blaney. Not a lot of us talk about him, but he's running very well. Can he continue that?
He is running very well, and I think he's actually the best Penske car right now. I think he has the most speed consistently. I wouldn't count him out 15 points behind. And Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, I wouldn't count them out. Kyle Larson's car looked really good in practice. Very fast through 1 and 2. I wouldn't count either one of those guys out either.
What makes this round of 8 on the Cup side so spectacular is there is a legitimate argument for anyone on that screen to win.
Oh, yes.
And that's really what you're looking for. Anytime you get in the postseason in any sport, you want the best against the best against the best. Those 8 drivers obviously deserve to be here because they earned the right. But more than just that, any of those guys could switch their name into yellow after tomorrow's race.
And you mentioned tomorrow's race. Take a look at what's happening on NBCSN. It'll be NASCAR America pre-race at 1:30, 2:30 countdown to green, and 3 o'clock. Maybe another position locked up for the championship 4. The playoffs continue from Texas. Kelly.
Good to see that Tyler Reddick is okay after that big hit. Looked like he had one of the best cars out there tonight. And then what happened there at the end?
Well, I just didn't do a good job of executing tonight. I couldn't get off pit road. I didn't do the restarts I needed to. And they got us mired back in some of that mess there. And, you know, that's what I deserve if I can't keep it up front. A car like that fast, or Osco Chevrolet, threw me in victory lane and competing for this win still right now. So just didn't do the part I needed to and overcorrected it. Just ran out of talent and wrecked our car in a pretty spectacular fashion.
All right, so we've got one more race ahead of the championship race at Miami. Pretty good points cushion, it looks like, for you. What will be your mindset as you head to Phoenix?
You're never safe. I just proved it right there. So we had a lot better cushion than that, and I was really looking forward to leaning on that possibly if we didn't win here tonight. But a lot of things could still happen tonight. Somebody we're not expecting could still win this race. So we'll see what happens, but at least we're plus 23 still right now, and not like some of the other guys way below the cut line.
Tyler, thank you.
Part of the big 3. Point cushion coming in, but a little of that being, I guess, chipped away at by these guys that are still out on track.
How about the conversation there? You know, put it all on his own shoulders, really. You know, hey, I should have had the car out front, should have been in front of that. Put it all on his own shoulders. I like that from a young driver. Reminds me of Chase Elliott, right? Chase Elliott's one of those guys that doesn't mind getting on himself and saying, I needed to be better.
And didn't mince any words, did he? Just said it. And so as a crew chief, I'm going to lean on that. I'm going to point that out to all the crew guys. Listen, he made a mistake and he owned up for it. And that's the type of responsibility and expectations we have throughout this organization, throughout the team. If the driver's willing to go on national TV and say, listen, I did this wrong, then all of us could look in the mirror perhaps and say, how could we be better? How, you know, it sounds silly because it's an accident and a bad night, but can you take a bad night and find the motivation in this to carry you through the next 2 weeks?
As we look at the playoff leaderboard, Bell still with a good point cushion. Cole Custer, 34 points. Tyler Reddick, 23. Now he's off the track. There are a couple cars that are still behind him that could take away his spot. At least one. McLaughlin is the only one, I guess, that he could get a position from him. Marty.
And Rick, through all of this, Austin Cindric sits in 4th with a shot to win this race. But Brian Wilson, you've got some right side damage. How much concern is that for you right now on this what might be final restart of the race?
Yeah, obviously we've got some damage there. We don't feel like it's terrible damage, but obviously we're concerned with it. But at this point, we feel like we've got to win, so we got to stay out there and see what it's got. If he has an issue, we'll pit under green. But for now, we're going to have to roll the dice and see what we get.
So you'll restart 4th on the outside. How confident are you there's enough grip on that outside to make something work?
Yeah, it seems like there has been on the restarts. Eventually, you've got to get down to the bottom, and then later in the run, you can migrate back up there. But I feel like guys have been able to make it work if you can get a good run, and Austin's done a great job moving up there today.
A nice night for Austin Cindric. Rick started 14th, now up in 4th. Restart coming up.
Yeah, definitely a spoiler, potentially, in Austin Cindric if he can get up there. Well, next Saturday on NBC, it's elimination time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. It's the last chance to clinch that spot in the Championship 4. Race coverage from Phoenix will begin at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC.
Still 30 laps to go when we see the green flag here, Rick. This race is a long ways from over. I mean, with everything that's happened, you feel like we're coming to like a green-white checker. This is going to sell it all, but 30 laps.
And Chastain, I think we all just expected Christopher Bell just to drive up there and run him down, but on the restarts, Chastain's been able to drive away from him. He was fast in practice yesterday, but I didn't see this much speed.
Well, Jason Ratcliffe said, I would love for Christopher to have a chance at a long run. Is 30 laps a long run? I mean, is that long enough?
Yeah, I mean, 30 laps would be a long run if it can somehow go green. And remember, Chastain was close on fuel shortly after 23 caution laps. If he's not good now, then he was never going to make it.
Well, Chris Rice thought he was good, so we'll see. As we get ready for the restart, It's Chastain and Bell making up the front row. Coming up on 30 laps to go. Bell with a great restart on the outside, getting a little help from Austin Cindric.
That was a great restart. Now he's got his nose out in front of Chastain in that outside lane. Should get a big run on the exit of turn 2.
And away he goes. And an issue right front. Briscoe. Right front flat, it looks like, on Briscoe's. Can he get by and around the racetrack and back to pit road without that tire going down?
Just was not worth the gamble.
I don't think he has a flat tire. I think the splitter bar is bent down and it's just sparking. It's probably on the ground too much. That's why I went straight up in the corner.
That was the point we talked about, though. Come down pit road and look at that thing and see if they could fix it, even if it wasn't a tire down.
Yeah, he's falling back quickly now. Bell and Chastain up front. Briscoe dropping like a rock here.
Yeah, and as he drops, that helps the situation for Allgaier, Reddick.
We're talking points there. Briscoe right now 19 points behind Allgaier, that final transfer spot for the championship 4. Austin Cindric just in front of Allgaier. Those guys running 3rd and 4th. Bell has a half a second lead over Ross Chastain. So Ross Chastain, even though he stayed out to get track position and has saved fuel, it might not pay off if that's the gap between 1 and 2.
Yeah, Bell just got such a great start. Took that momentum around the top of 1 and 2.
And now Bell has that clean air that Ross Chastain had earlier.
Allgaier looking to the inside of Austin Cindric now.
Now going to try to, this Cindric with a big run on the outside of turn 2. I thought Allgaier had him, let's better get the left rear quarter panel. He wasn't there.
Bell, Chastain, Cindric, Allgaier, and still sparks flying from underneath. And now that right front tire is down.
Yeah, this may bring out the yellow. We see some parts and pieces kind of falling off.
Let me pull off it here, guys. Middle of the back coming to you.
No, still under green.
See, now
green. Now the tire completely coming apart. Shredding, but he's down on the apron. Not in the groove. Trying to get all the way to pit road.
It goes back to the decision to stay on the racetrack. It was
suspension broken.
Dave.
And of course, Steve, they took that risk staying on the racetrack, thinking they couldn't make up the spots if they pitted there. This is how it ends poorly for them. They're going to have to try to pull some debris out of there if need be. It looks good underneath. He felt it going down, obviously, but he did shake it around before the restart. The driver said it feels fine. They'll change all 4 here, and they'll go laps down.
Rick, you can try too hard. When you're standing in quicksand, don't fight. The more you fight, the farther you sink. At some point, you just have to stop, reach out for some help, bring your car to pit road. You have to play the hand that is dealt to you.
And it was a tough hand already for Briscoe. Bell out front, though, as we go NASCAR nonstop. And the fight for third continuing to heat up as Austin Cindric has the spot. Allgaier, though, chasing him down. If we stay green, we'll stay all the way to the checkered flags here. You'll see the final 18 laps from Texas Motor Speedway.
So I think as you look at the bottom left current point situation with that issue for Briscoe, Allgaier plus 21. I think this is that time. You know, you always say, hey, how much does the driver need to know? If I'm Jason Burdett, I'm telling Allgaier about the 98's issue. I want him to know, listen, things have changed a little bit. We're doing a nice job. We're running in fourth. We are plus 21. I don't want my driver thinking he has to go up there and win this race. Let's not do something rash racing Austin Cindric right here. Let's just get this thing to the house. 17 more laps. Put those points in the bank.
So yes, right now in this situation, that would be great for Allgaier. But Allgaier right now is the final transfer spot in the championship 4. If someone below him comes up and wins either here or at Phoenix, he's out. Dave.
Yep, and that's the way the system works, Rick. We talked about how crazy it is all night. And his situation did change the last restart, not this most recent one. But remember, he lost a couple of spots. He said to his team, I annihilated that restart. I am sorry. But he is gathering it back up now and in a good position here if someone below him doesn't win.
You bring up a great point, Rick. The counter is he's not going to make enough up to catch Reddick. And I don't believe he can go run down Bell. I mean, I'm not saying to give up, but let's not make a mistake. But that win is always out there.
When you look at Bell, he's already got 2.9 seconds of a gap between his number 20 and the 10 of Ross Chastain.
And Rick, this year so much talk about the big 3 here in the Xfinity Series. Christopher Bell among them. And even within that big 3 conversation, who's the best at the mile-and-a-half racetracks? Obviously at Miami, the championship will be decided on a mile-and-a-half racetrack. For much of the year, that's been Cole Custer. But lately, and Mike Shiplett, Cole Custer's crew chief, told me this earlier today, the 20 car has caught them and passed them in raw speed. And I don't know if you guys agree, Stephen, Jeff, and Junior, but I think Christopher Bell has stood up at these mile-and-a-halves in the playoffs, Vegas, Kansas, and here at Texas tonight and said, hey, we're going to be the favorites when we get to Miami coming up in a couple of weeks.
The speed's one thing, Rick, but what Christopher Bell did best tonight that impressed me was his patience. At the end of stage 2, the way that caution cycled, this 20 lost track position, much like what Tyler Reddick just talked about. He got back in that mess that Reddick talked about. But Christopher Bell found a way to take advantage of restarts, work through lap traffic. You know what I mean, Jeff? It's not just a fast car. There was a chance for this to slip away for Christopher Bell, and instead he put together a very nice drive.
Yeah, maturity. That's what Christopher Bell, you know, we all know he's going cup racing next year. Nights like this are the nights that prove he's ready.
Under 12 laps to go, and now Allgaier under attack. Brandon Jones coming after him for that 4th spot.
Now that Brandon Jones, you know, we're just starting to see him more and more at the front of these races. Got that win last week. Getting that first win is huge. Feels like a weight's off your shoulders.
And now he's going to take that momentum, see if he can use it here with under 11 laps to go from Texas.
A bunch of names here. You have Brandon Jones in 5th, John Hunter Nemechek in 6th, Harrison Burton in 7th, Jeb Burton in that 8 car in an 8th. Marty.
Steve, if you think about how the night started for Brandon Jones, they had that puncture in the right front, had to go to the very back at the beginning of the race, has fought his way back. And look at the last 2 mile-and-a-halves for that program. They finished 3rd, and then the win at Kansas. So they've been very impressive in the playoffs, and obviously the new contract in hand as well. That doesn't hurt things, does it?
Oh, that adds to the happiness, right? This team obviously disappointed they're not in the playoffs. Look at this run he has on Allgaier. But they're building to next year. We talked about all the changes in the Xfinity Series next year. Maybe Brandon Jones can be one of the favorites heading into the year as a championship contender.
He's looked very strong here at the tail end of the 2019 season. Allgaier still searching for a win, but right now maybe content with the points that he's going to be able to gain.
With 9 laps to go, Christopher Bell He left little doubt with that last lap. A half a second faster than second place.
Just flex his muscle.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So is this where the crew chief tells him, hey, bud, take it easy here. You got a 4.2 second lead over Ross Chastain and 8 laps to go.
No, if I'm Jason Ratcliffe and there's 2 races left to decide a championship, we are making a statement. Run this thing out. I want you to win by 7 seconds. I want everybody to know that we came to the mile-and-a-half race at Texas and we were the absolute best car.
Well, Justin Allgaier and Brandon Jones, this fight continues. Now in lap traffic, what can Allgaier do? 51 went to the bottom, now the middle. That's what you don't want lap cars to do. You want them to run one lane.
Allgaier had to check up there and lost a lot of momentum.
And he might lose another spot. John Hunter Nemechek is now in the attack.
John Hunter's fast. I've been watching his lap times. He's the second best car behind Christopher Bell on lap time.
And I'm going to be really interested to see how John Hunter, these next 3 weeks, he gets a chance to run both the Cup and the Xfinity races.
Oh, Allgaier put himself in a bad situation there. John Hunter treated him nicely.
He's going to lose a spot. A position on the track is a point. And now it's 18 points that separate Allgaier and Briscoe. And Christopher Bell continuing to check out. Now it's 4.5 seconds. Battle for 5th heating up still. It's Bell, Chastain, Cindric, Brandon Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, then Allgaier, Harrison Burton running 7th. Custer is 8th. Jeb Burton is 9th. Ryan Sieg running in 10th position in that backup car.
Well, this was Kyle Petty's pick in the pre-race show. He said Christopher Bell, he considers this as close to a home track as he's going to have.
Yeah, from Oklahoma.
Yeah, Norman, Oklahoma. So Cup Series, Xfinity Series doesn't race in Oklahoma. I think Kyle said he's not the best in geography, but it's close to Texas.
I don't think he actually used the word geography.
He didn't.
Either,
I think
it was geometry that he tried to throw at you.
Not sure that's a sharp point either.
Then now 3 to go for Bell. That might have been low-hanging fruit to choose Christopher Bell.
Well, I don't know. I think I would have took Tyler Reddick. After watching practice, Tyler Reddick was my pick. I thought he was the best car in practice. This track seems to suit him.
I agree. I think Christopher Bell and his team, they went to work, made their car better overnight. You mentioned it, Christopher Bell, the experience he showed tonight, never quitting, never giving up. Smart decisions.
He's going to need that sort of patience and fight a year from now in the Cup Series. It'll be a different type of field, much deeper field, higher level of competition first through the top 20, top 30.
Heading to Levine Family Racing in 2020 to start his Cup career. They will have assistance from Joe Gibbs Racing as he comes up on 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank.
Ricky's made it a point to say he wants to do the job in Xfinity. He wants to win this championship before leaving the series.
Christopher Bell very close now to joining some pretty elite companies. Sam Ard, Jack Ingram, 2 of the biggest names ever in the Xfinity Series. Christopher Bell is going to tie them tonight. In 72 starts, this will be his 16th win. And Christopher Bell has locked up a spot in the championship 4 with this win.
Thank you, guys. Great. Went into Phoenix with a lot different mindset than we did last year. Nice work.
Last year they had to fight just to get into that championship 4, and now with the win here at Texas and a convincing win here at Texas after leading 100 of the 200 laps, Christopher Bell can go into Phoenix a little more comfortable knowing he's got a shot at the title this year. Team celebrating. Well, was that a dominant enough performance for you, crew chief?
I'm sold. I mean, this doesn't really change in my mind. We knew Christopher Bell was going to be one of the favorites. He proved, again, you mentioned it 16th time, that with a great car, he can make it happen. I think it'll be interesting to see how Reddick bounces back at Phoenix. But right here, I mean, this is the goal, right? We talk about points and championships and all that. Race car drivers race to win.
Burning it down on No Limits, Texas. 8th win this season. As I mentioned, now a career 16 wins through 72 starts. Coming up next, it'll be the replay of the 2019 Rugby World Cup final. Skipping his step there for Christopher Bell as he grabs the checkered flag. Fireworks going off in the background. Names in yellow now for Christopher Bell. With the win, he'll advance to the championship 4. It's guaranteed that at least 2 drivers will still be able to get in on points, but a win at ISM Raceway next week will guarantee a spot in that championship 4. Let's go back to the Mobil 1 Peacock pit box. Junior, what'd you see tonight?
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting race. Disappointing race, I think, mainly for Chase Briscoe. Having that issue late took him, it cost him a lot of points. It's not taking him all the way out of this. We saw a lot of guys have trouble, not only this year, but even in years past. Guys you think that are going to make it all the way in Homestead have trouble and find their way out of it. But he's still got a shot when he goes to Phoenix. But I think that guy's got to be really disappointed that they've had the speed, and he's done such a great job all year long. But now I think as we move forward, we're going to Phoenix, but you start to think about who is good at Homestead, who has been good in the past at Homestead. Even though Christopher Bell was strong tonight, has he been able to learn, and has that team, and has he grown as a driver to be able to take the fight to those guys when they get to Homestead? Cole Custer, in my mind, has been the fastest car there the last few trips. But can Christopher Bell kind of complete this destiny of his to win this championship? I think it's going to be a tough battle. You also got to talk about Reddick. Reddick, he might run the top at Homestead better than anybody. Can he go back there and get another championship as well? It's going to be a really, really amazing battle when we get to Homestead. But Phoenix stands in the way. Phoenix is going to be exciting, too.
Christopher Bell dominating once again. He was the 2017 Truck Series champion, trying to add Xfinity Series champion to his list of accomplishments.
I have to hand it to Texas, one of the coolest victory lanes. The fire.
Look at all those win stickers on the top of the quarter panel.
There were 7 of them there before.
Check that out.
This is the 8th.
They're running out of room. It's a good problem.
And it's a great problem to have, right, Marty?
It's a good problem to have when you have all those stickers, and Christopher Bell pulls in a race he calls his home race. Wins here at Texas Motor Speedway. That's impressive. 4th time this year he's led and won all the stages and won the race. How did you have the patience to get back up through the field, though, when you had to go backwards, Christopher? Comes a family.
Yeah, that was pretty special to win here in Texas. I got a lot of family over there in the background, and I've normally been giving these out, but this one right here is for my nephew. I promised him years ago that if I ever won, I'd be able to get him the flag at Texas. So this one's, like I said, really special to win at home, and I knew we were competitive. Us and the 2 were really similar early on, and then I started having brake problems, and whenever I got those brake problems, I just wasn't as good. I couldn't keep the car underneath me. I got really loose, so had to work a little bit harder, but then that red flag helped me. My brakes came back, and Jason got this thing tuned up, and we were able to drive away. But really thankful for all of our partners at Rheem, Rude, Toyota, even the Xfinity Internet Service. Thank you guys for allowing us to come out here and race these cars, and Just very blessed to be here and glad I can focus on Homestead.
Christopher, do you guys think you now have established, because you're the first one to go to Miami and have a shot to win the title, do you go in as a favorite, you think, now after all the strength you've shown on the mile and a halves?
I like where we're at. There was a time earlier in the year where we were going to some of these racetracks and I felt really good, and we just couldn't compete with some of the other competitors. But right now, we can be a little bit off, and I'm still right there with them. And then when we get this thing driving good, we're able to be really good.
By the way, what's your nephew's name? He got the flag.
This is Tripp. Like I said, I promised him a flag ever since my truck days, and I've been racing here, and haven't been able to get him one until now.
Finally, Tripp gets the flag. Christopher Bell has advanced to Miami and have a shot to win the title. And Rick, you can hear the family. They're the ones cheering here in the background.
Yeah, first win in the Xfinity Series for Christopher Bell. Again, tomorrow, make sure to join us as the playoffs continue for the Monster Energy Cup Series. Countdown to green will be at 2:30. And then another spot available in the championship for who will join Martin Truex Jr. Can that be determined tomorrow? And, of course, every point so important as the Cup drivers will take on the mile-and-a-half Texas Motor Speedway. Coming up next, it's 2019 Rugby right here on NBCSN.